Jose, let's talk a little Angels baseball. We saw the return of Tyler Skaggs on the mound yesterday, and boy, a lot of people were excited to see that.
Oh, we were like fans yesterday. At least I was, Terry. And I know you felt pretty good about this story because it's one of those where you feel so good to see a guy that's so good with a team, with his teammates, with the Angels brand, back on the mound after so many months away from baseball competing and the long process of rehab. Tyler Skaggs with number 45 calmly took the mound, even though, yes, he admitted he was a little jittery, a little jelly legs, but boy, it was good to see the flow of the mechanics, how tall he stayed on the mound, didn't force anything, but also he didn't hold back anything with his pitches. A sharp breaking ball that kept getting better the more he threw it, took something off, but Terry, he was on his game. Great command, and I think overall it's a great step for the Angels to see this, and certainly for himself and the confidence, and what he did yesterday with that line certainly brings a lot of hope, because we know the Angels rotation is a little thin right now, and they need as much depth as possible. A positive step. Hopefully no setbacks, but for Tyler Skaggs, welcome back.
Oh, he was a week shy of 20 months between facing live hitters, and boy, everybody encouraged about that. And Mike Scioscia talks about his lefty, Tyler Skaggs.
Well, we'll see. I mean, he's got to go out there and try to make our club. There's a lot of things with command. There's a lot of things with stamina that come into play. But the way Tyler threw the ball today, that's very encouraging.
Well, Tyler Skaggs was a story yesterday. He wasn't the starting pitcher for the Angels. Matt Shoemaker was. Today it's going to be Jared Weaver, Jose. Been a rough spring in many ways for Jared Weaver, and I guess today we'll find out what the next step is for him.
Hopefully the next step is that he comes out of this one today and gives the Angels and Mike Scioscia the work that he needs to put in by being sharper around the zone, pitching off the plate. But, Terry, we've seen the good and the bad Weaver, and we need to see more of the Weaver we saw against the Cubs. And he was on his game, throwing tops 83 miles an hour. But look at the command, look at the location, and look at the finish on that breaking ball and the separation that was there. But these are all things that, of course, have taken a toll on him. Remember, he's dealing with a spinal issue, too, degenerative issues, because he's not able to finish. Then we see the Weaver that we've seen too much of late, going back to last year. Too many pitches out over the plate. The home runs are accumulating, and himself, even though he is fighting so much and wants to pitch in these games. His last outing was in a minor league game, but he wanted to pitch today. Hopefully, Terry, this will be one where he can go out there and compete. Let the adrenaline flow and treat this more like a regular season game. The Angels need the weave, but a sharper weave. They can go out there and pitch more around the corners.
All right, let's talk a little offense. Yesterday, we saw C.J. Cron hit his first home run this spring.
That's a plus. I think we all understand the time is now for C.J. Cron to be a force, be a presence, and have that power that, of course, we are hoping for. He had a great finish to the season. He had 20 RBIs in September, the most productive month he's had as a big leaguer overall. And what we saw all throughout the spring, starting with spraying the ball the other way, first game against the Giants. Now you turn the dial a little bit more, staying back, using right center field. Then he goes out there and crushes tough pitches down in the zone with a golf swing. And now we see more and more of getting the backspin, getting his backside with him. And certainly we know, Terry, that with C.J. Cron and how much he's grown, also the other aspect is defensively, he's going to have to help the Angels out a lot because, of course, as of right now, we believe Pujols will be limited at first base. Cron must take and step up.
All right, we'll see how C.J. Cron goes for the Angels this season. Certainly a very important piece as far as the middle part of that Angel batting order. Well, it's the Angels and the Oakland A's. Angels will play their first road game against Oakland in Game 7 of the regular season. Today, it is Weaver against Manaea. We'll have the lineups and the start of the action next, right here on Fox Sports West.
And during this event, Welcome back to Angels Spring Training Baseball at Hohokam Stadium. 79 degrees in Mesa, Arizona. Mike Trout signing autographs for the fans. As always, I am Alex Curtin. We are moments away from the Angels taking on the A's for their third and final matchup here in the Cactus League. Now, the Angels have taken both of the games so far, so let's see who the Angels have starting for this third and final matchup. Leading off for your Halos and manager Mike Scioscia at third base, number 6, Yunel Escobar. Batting second in right field, number 56, Cole Calhoun. Batting third in center field, Mike Trout, who had a clutch 3-run home run yesterday to get the Angels on the board late in the game. Batting cleanup, DHing, Albert Pujols. Batting fifth at first base, CJ Cron, who hit his first home run this spring yesterday. Batting sixth at shortstop, number 2, Andrelton Simmons. Batting seventh behind the plate, number 18, Giovanni Soto. Batting eighth at second base today, Ray Navarro. Batting ninth in left field, Craig Gentry. And on the mound for your Halos, Jared Weaver. This is an important outing to see where he's at and what the next step will be for Weaver. Now heading over to Oakland, leading off in center field, number 4, Coco Crisp. Batting second in left field, Mark Canha. Batting third in right field, Josh Reddick. Batting cleanup at third base, Danny Valencia. Batting fifth at second base, Jed Lowry. Batting sixth, DHing today, number 16, Billy Butler. Batting seventh at first base, Yonder Alonso. Batting eighth at shortstop, Marcus Semien. And batting ninth behind the plate, Bruce Maxwell. And on the mound for Oakland, Sean Manaea. But it's time for first pitch, so let's head it upstairs to Terry Smith and Jose Mota.
Well, the umpires have made their way out to home plate, and we're having the exchange of the lineup cards. We're just a few minutes away as far as baseball today here in Mesa. The umpires this afternoon, Tom Woodring will be calling balls and strikes, and he'll be assisted on the bases by Bill Miller, Rob Drake, and also Roberto Ortiz. As far as the dimensions here at Hohokam Park in Mesa, it goes 340 down the left field side. Down in the right field corner, it's 350. Out in dense center field, it goes 410. And as far as the power alleys in left center and right center, right around 385. The Angels will wear the red tops and the gray pants today, and the Oakland A's are getting ready to take the field, and they will be wearing the dark green tops and also the white pants. This is the former home, spring training home of the Chicago Cubs. For many years we would come here for Cactus League games. It would be the Angels and the Cubs at this ballpark.
Yeah, and they did a very nice job with this ballpark. It's, instead of all the blue, of course, it's all the green and gold. It's beautiful, spacious ballpark. You got to really crush a ball to the gaps to hit it out of here, even though in thin air at times that doesn't matter. But Terry, every time we come here, I can only think of one blast and one blast only. And that is Mark Trumbo hitting a ball over the left field scoreboard / screen. And it was an unbelievable display of power here in this ballpark. Also with the Cubs, I recall Sammy Sosa hitting a ball up against the hitter's eye, which is what's in play at that point. We're going to find out for sure if it's not, but long double there against the top of that hitter's eye against our good friend Scott Shields.
Yeah. So the Angels are facing a young left-hander. His name is Sean Manaea, and he's regarded as the very best pitching prospect right now in the A's organization, and he really hasn't been in their organization even a year. They got him last year from the Kansas City Royals, and that was in the Ben Zobrist deal. And we'd have to say that this guy, in one way or another, because he was involved in that Zobrist trade and what Zobrist did once the Royals picked him up, he influenced, did this Manaea, the eventual World Series champions.
You better believe it. Somehow, one way or the other, he was part of it. One of those times in which, of course, you got to sacrifice some of the future to get to what you needed, and the Royals got what they were looking for. They got that ring.
So Manaea has wrapped up his warm-up tosses. This spring, they've taken a pretty good look at him. He's appeared in 4 games, a couple starts before today. He's done a pretty good job, a 1-0 record, ERA of 2.61. And he is ready to deliver to the Angels' leadoff man, Yunel Escobar. Escobar 20 for 40 this spring and goes after the first pitch, as we see him do a lot, and fouls that one off on the right side. It's out of play. We're underway. The count 0-1. 79 degrees at game time today. Bright sunshine, not a cloud in the sky. Here's the next pitch from Minaya, and that one is low.
Escobar is swinging. Not your prototypical leadoff guy. He does have a respectable on-base percentage throughout his career, around the 350 mark, but he's swinging.
Next pitch, looks that one over, and it misses low and away. Minaya has been a big strikeout pitcher in the minors, and he has 15 strikeouts in 10 1/3 innings this spring with the A's. Here's his next pitch, and the lefty delivers that one for a called strike. He's got a big body, this lefty, 6'5", 235 pounds.
You say he pops the ball even when he's warming up on breaking balls, and that glove is popping.
Next pitch, and this one is chopped on the first base side. A fair ball. It's fielded there by Alonso. He'll easily beat Escobar to the bag, and that's the game's first out.
Well, my point about Escobar, and it continues. Yunel Escobar has not struck out all spring. And that is now 41 official at-bats. No Ks. As we were complimenting Mike Trout and what he's done so far in putting the ball in play, Terry. How about 0 Ks for Yunel Escobar?
That's right. Trout has only 2 in 39 at-bats so far this spring. But if you're going to be a leadoff man, you like to see a guy who will put the ball in play, and that's what Escobar has done, and he has been outstanding this spring. Batter is Cole Calhoun, and the first pitch on the lefty hitter misses. It's 1 ball, no strikes. Manaya's a pretty quick worker. He'll top out at about 98 miles per hour with that fastball. There's one on the outside part of the plate. That's in there. 1 ball, 1 strike.
I have to tell DC to turn down the sound effects. It's pretty loud up here.
You can hear that ball popping into the middle of the catcher, Bruce Maxwell. Here's the next delivery. And that one misses for a ball.
Big body. He stays over the rubber quite easily. He starts his body turned a bit sideways to get his balance on a short stride back before he slings it over. High 3/4 delivery.
Here's the next pitch. That's fouled back behind the plate. Minaya, since he was drafted in the first round by Kansas City, that was back in 2013, he has had a lot of injury issues, so they're hoping he stays healthy. He's had hip surgery, and he also had an ab tear last season. He missed about 3 months of the season. Here's the 2-2 on Cole. Lifts it in the air into center field. Not very deep at all. In and waiting and squeezing it is Coco Crisp. That's the second out. So Mike Trout will be the batter.
Oh, there's proof once again the ball will get on you very quickly. Slow movement towards the plate, and then all of a sudden it's right on you. It's pretty much how the day started yesterday for Cole Calhoun against Chris Sale, shattering his bat in 3 pieces before eventually lining a single up the middle in that big inning the Angels had against the tough lefty Chris Sale.
First one on Trout. He hits one high, and he hits it well into right center field. Crisp is going back, still going back. It is out of here. Mike Trout, home run number 3 this spring. Solo shot with 2 outs in the first inning. 1-0 Angels.
If the glove hasn't popping loud, well, the bat is even louder for Mike Trout. A no-doubter, straight up center field, slicing away from Coco Crisp. And a ball that pretty much, from the time it made contact, it was going to be out.
Back-to-back days, home runs for Trout. Hit the 3-run shot yesterday against the White Sox. And here's Albert Pujols.
Interesting to see when Yunel Escobar got jammed. He's coming back to the dugout, and Trout immediately says, what is this fastball doing?
Pitch on Albert. He drives one foul down the left side.
So you can see the exchange in gestures. Escobar saying it runs away. And what does Trout do? Well, let me apply immediately what Escobar just told me as a leadoff guy and look for something middle away, tailing, and absolutely crushes it.
Albert and Mike Trout now each with 3 home runs, tied for the spring lead for the Angels. Here's the pitch, and a cut and a miss.
So there's so many things that, of course, come easier for Mike Trout than for other guys. He's so gifted, but he does a lot of work. He's always asking questions. He's watching charts. He's watching what pitchers' tendencies are. He's always talking, though, with people that have faced the guy and wants to exchange as much information as possible. And think about that simple question. Hey, what is this fastball doing? Is it straight? Is it cutting? Is it running? Simple gesture. It's running. Okay, thank you. Let me try to adjust from there.
2-strike pitch on Pujols. Albert lifts one into shallow left field. Coming in under, putting it away is Canna, and the inning is over. But the Angels get a first inning run on the Trout homer. 1-0 Angels as we go to the bottom of the first on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Jared Weaver has staked to a 1-0 lead as we go to the bottom of the first inning. Last time that Weaver pitched was a game on Sunday. It was against some Rockies minor league players, and in that start went 3 2/3 innings, allowed 8 hits, a home run. He also gave up 3 runs, struck out 3, so he's set to face the A's today. And Jared's first pitch chopped on the first base side, and a nice stop over there by C.J. Cron with his foot on the bag. It's out number 1.
Hey, whatever it takes, get the out. Terry, I see some signs here. Fans all the way from Vineland, New Jersey, who of course came to see the Angels and Mike Trout. And what does he do? He just hit a home run for you guys.
Yep.
For making that trek.
Vineland, New Jersey, very close to Philadelphia. Trout's hometown, Millville, about halfway between Philadelphia and Atlantic City. Here's the pitch. That's a strike on the outside corner on Mark Canna.
For Jared Weaver, key is less of that plate. And see how far the A's want to reach out. But he wants to battle. He wants to pitch in these games to get himself straightened out.
That one's in there. Breaking pitch for a called strike. Weaver in the regular season in 33 career starts has a 2.73 ERA against the A's, so he's always done a good job against them. Here's the 0-2. Breaking ball outside.
What we're going to see today is a lot of Giovanni Soto, who is catching Weaver, setting off always in one side of the plate or the other. No matter what pitch is being called, just to exaggerate the target, especially the missed side.
Next delivery, and fooled on that off-speed pitch is Canna, struck him out. He was really fooled. So Weaver will mix up the pitches, tries to keep batters off balance. Successful in that matchup there against Canna.
You talk about going from 81, 82 miles an hour and drop to a 68. Even when you know it's coming, it's tough to stay back. Remember, he's also coming up for your 6-7 frame, so it's hard to pick up the ball no matter what. And that distance is cut down. So the 81, 83 may look a little healthier.
Here's the 0-1 pitch. This is Josh Reddick at the plate. He takes that one for a ball. Reddick had a solid year last year with the A's. Hit .272, 20 homers, drove in 77. Left-handed batter takes that one for a ball. 2-1 to count around the infield. The Angels have Cron at first. Ray Navarro getting the start today at second. Shortstop and Drolton Simmons and the third baseman Yunel Escobar. There's a pitch high, and now it's a 3-1 count. Outfield, Craig Gentry in left. Daniel Nava getting the day off. Mike Trout in center. Cole Calhoun in right. Giovanni Soto behind the plate. Albert is DHing, and Jared Weaver pitching. Here's the next one. It's grounded on the right side. Navarro has it, and his throw in time. It's a quick, clean inning for Weaver here in the bottom of the first. We're headed to the second. 1-0 Angels on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West.
Saturday on
C.J. Cron leading it off. First pitch. He takes it for a strike as we start the second inning. Angels up 1-0 as Manaea delivers, and the next pitch, a cut and a miss. 0-2 the count. This copyrighted broadcast presented by authority of Angels Baseball may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of today's game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Angels Baseball. There's a fastball high and away on Cron. Manaea works fast. He doesn't waste a whole lot of time there. Out on the mound, Cron is backed out of the box, at least partially out of the box between some pitches here. And the 1-2 delivery. That's a little bit inside. 2-2 the count.
There's our breaking ball he has shown in warm-ups. Had not been able to incorporate it here into the game. Nice sweeping. Almost like a sidearm type breaking ball.
Here's the pitch, and that is outside.
Manaea is out of Indiana State. In his first year in professional baseball at Wilmington 2014 Single A, he had 146 strikeouts in 121 2/3 innings. And overall impressive numbers in the minor leagues.
And on the 3-2, he misses outside on Cron. That was a good at-bat for CJ. He was behind in the count, but ends up waiting out a walk. And it's not a guy who walks a whole lot to begin with.
That'll be something he could add to his game that'd be pretty good. So for Manaea, going back to his minor league years, which have been short, only really 2 seasons. 14-9 record, 2.94 ERA in 39 starts, 236 strikeouts in 196 innings, only 10 home runs.
At the plate now is Simmons, and he takes the first pitch for a ball. So Cron is the base runner with nobody out at second. That was only his 3rd walk this spring in 50 at-bats.
That's a piece of his game he can still get better at.
Yeah.
On pitch selection.
There's a fastball in there for a called strike on Simmons.
Not going to be asking C.J. Cron to go out there and be looking for walks, but there's times when they don't have to throw him a single strike to get him out. And by now he should know enough about the league and how they pitch to him and under which circumstances to go out there and be more selective.
Here's the next delivery. That's chopped foul over by the batter waiting on deck, Soto. So it's 1 ball, 2 strikes on Simmons. Fans, here's the deal for you. $19.95 gets you Proactive plus a rotating deep cleansing brush valued at $45. You're guaranteed to get clear and stay clear, or you'll get your money back. Call 1-800-644-5944. That number, once again, 1-800-644-5944. Next pitch is up and in, so it's 2 balls, 2 strikes. Manaya set. Look over at first base. Cron's on the move. Here's the pitch. That's grounded on the right side. It's out of the reach of the first baseman, Alonso, and it'll roll into right field. A beautiful job of hitting and running, going all the way from first to third is Cron. Simmons has a hit. Angels are threatening with nobody out for Giovanni Soto.
Well, there's a bit of a confusion earlier with the sign, and Anderson Simmons actually asked for time and said, let me get this again and get it clear. Cron got it. And Simmons does a good job hitting the ball on the ground. Now, what happened? Tailing fastball once again. As Mike Trout showed, he stayed right with that tailing fastball, hit it the other way. Cron did not look inside early enough. He actually stopped between second base and picked up the baseball. That's why there was a conversation at third base with Ron Renicky, the coach, and making sure he's only looking for the coach in that situation.
Here's the pitch. That's in there for a called strike.
Here's where you start adding pressure to a young pitcher. You get some pieces moving, all of a sudden the thinking in the game just gets way faster here.
Here's the next delivery, and that one is taken for a ball. Soto, who's batting, he's kind of had a somewhat of an odd spring offensively. He's had only 4 hits in 20 at-bats, and 3 of the 4 hits are home runs. He's tied with Albert and Mike Trout. Club lead in homers this spring. Here's the pitch, and here he drops down a bunt out in front of the plate. Pitcher fields the throw to first base, bounces by the first baseman Alonso. A run will score, and the Angels will have him at second and third. Manaya, the pitcher, made a bad throw to first base.
That's when the game starts speeding up, and now Mike Scioscia knows so much about that. So he puts on a safety squeeze. A good job by the runner. Cron did not break. It was not a good bunt to begin with, but you can see clearly there's some miscommunication between the pitcher and the catcher who's going to get it. Initially, then the pitcher gets it, throws it away, and then it's when Cron goes out there and takes his break towards the plate.
So they're going to score that as a single. And an error on the pitcher. And the pitch. This is popped in the air on the right side, a foul ball backing out of play. There's no RBI on that base hit by Soto. The thinking was the throwing error, and rightfully so, by Manaya, enabled Cron to score from third.
Yeah, Cron did not break with the bunt.
So 2-0 Angels, and a chance to get some more here with runners at second and third. And the pitch, and that one misses.
There's something the Angels need to do more of, Terry, in the regular season against premier guys. exactly this. You're working hard for runs early in the game when the opportunities are there. Force the issue.
Next delivery, this is popped in the air, very shallow left center field. People chasing and making a nice running over the shoulder catches the shortstop Simeon in very shallow left center. Nothing the lead runner Simmons could do on that one but hold at third, so no advancement.
And there's one at bat that Ray Navarro will love to get back. Infield playing in, second and third, trying to get something up in the air. Perhaps his body opened up way too much and did not allow the pitch to dictate what he was going to do. Good play by Simeon, going back and covering a lot of ground considering where he had to start from.
So they still have the infield in. And here's the pitch. It's on the outside part of the plate for a called strike on Gentry.
It's a pretty big situation here for Gentry as Mike Scioscia tries to get more at bats for him.
So infield is in and the pitch. That's a check swing. That one is fouled off on the right side. Scoreboard had 2 outs listed for the longest time, but there's only 1 out here in this inning.
So they're hoping for here at home.
Yeah. Oh, they were trying to trick us in the booth. I can tell you that right now.
They just heard you, too.
We didn't go for the bait, though, Jose.
They just heard you.
Trying to be right on top of it. Yeah, now they have 1 out, and there's a base hit by the mound off the bat of Gentry. That's going to score 2 runs, and the Angels' lead increases. It's now 4-0. That bouncer was hit hard by Minaya before he could really get the glove down to stop it. And the Angels have put 3 on the board in this inning and are far from being finished in the inning. Top of the order now, Escobar, the batter.
Oh, the Angels are doing the smallest of things to get Sean Minaya out of his game. And this is a guy that had come into this game having allowed only 3 runs in 4 spring training outings. And there he is. The Angels have put 4 on the board against him. Now it goes back to leadoff walk and then forcing the issue with the bases and the bunts and so many little things that really can derail a young pitcher. And here it is, proven again.
Toss over to first. Gentry gets back. That hit by Gentry had to feel good. It comes against the club he was with last year, the A's, and he really struggled. Eventually spent most of the year in AAA.
For all the pressure, Terry, that is on the middle of a lineup to produce, can't forget about what can happen when your bottom is productive.
Here's a hot smash. It's off the glove of the second baseman. Lowry over there couldn't stop it, and that's going to put runners at the corners. So that ball was hit sharply. We'll see how they score it. Jed Lowry got some glove on that one, but it is going to be scored a hit, and you can understand why. Now they'll meet at the mound. The pitching coach is headed out there, Kurt Young, to have a word with Minaya.
Probably hasn't been that many times when Minaya has been hit around this hard. He has been knocked around here, with Mike Trout leading the way with a long home run with 2 outs in the first inning, and now the Angels with all the pressure they put on him. If he's thinking about base runners, think about making better pitches, the Angels are more than ready. Came into the game, Terry. The Angels as a team, 307 batting average, 370 on base percentage. Wouldn't that be nice if this continues in the regular season for the offense?
Yep. I like what the bottom part of the batting order has done in this inning. Now Cole Calhoun has a chance to impact this inning with runners at the corners. Only 1 out. Meeting at the mound is over. Calhoun flied out to center, and he's thinking bunt and ends up taking the pitch for ball 1. Gentry, who's the lead runner at third, has very good speed. The A's bullpen is quiet at the moment.
Yeah, Minaya made 14 pitches in the first inning. Here comes number 38 total.
And there's one a little bit low. Originally, we thought they were going to start Rich Hill in this ball game.
Rich Hill is pitching in a minor league game, and he's been getting knocked around himself, and he's supposed to be their number 2 starter.
Yeah. They wanted to start him in a more controlled environment today. Make sure we got into the 6th inning. So,
as you call that last pitch, how about Mike Scioscia showing bunt again? And that's exactly what happened with Cole Calhoun. And there was a recent game that you and Mark, who was over broadcasting, where the bunt was shown or exposed or even thought about many times recently, right?
Yeah, that was Trout and then Calhoun.
Trout never bunts.
Right. And he got a bunt hit, and then Calhoun followed up with a bunt. And talking to some people about that game, there was a thought to also have, and here is a bunt popped up foul, and it's going to be caught just outside the batter's circle by Minaya. So sure enough, Calhoun was bunting, but pops it up. So that's out number 2.
There's another attempt by Mike Scioscia and the Angels on another safety squeeze, and Calhoun just did not have the right angle for that one. Couldn't get on top of that fastball.
But in that recent game where Trout and Calhoun were bunting in the same inning, back-to-back batters, the next batter after Calhoun was going to be C.J. Cron, and there was some thought that they were going to have him drop one down. That was the game against Matt Garza, who people...
Who doesn't like, he doesn't like that.
He doesn't like people bunting against him, right? There's one on the outside part of the plate on Trout. Mike with a homer. Pretty much out to center field, a little bit to right center. First time up. And the next pitch, he takes that one for a ball.
And my point is, and I will never get tired of saying this, things don't need to change in the regular season. When you're pressing to put some runs on the board against premier guys, get a couple guys on, speed up the game somehow. Because really, you think about, the mentality of, are you playing for bigger innings early in the game? Understood, but against a number 1 and a number 2, Terry, those guys don't have a lot of big innings in them. But one little thing here and there, showing bunt could derail them. Running could derail them. Sometimes taking more pitches and deeper at bats can derail them. Whatever you can use it.
Trout just chopped one foul over on the left side, so it's 2 balls, 2 strikes.
And again, those guys are number 1s and number 2s for a reason, and when they're on, they are just on.
Well, Jose, when the regular season starts, it'll be against the Cubs, and who knows, maybe we'll have a little bit of a chess match going on between Mike Scioscia and Joe Madden in the first 2 games of that series.
Find an edge. Yeah. Use it.
Here's the pitch, up and in on Trout. Full count. Mike is the 8th batter up in the inning. 3 have scored. Angels have a 4-0 lead here in the 2nd. Angels this spring 12-8-4. And the A's are 10-10-3. Last 2 games, the A's have been giving up a lot of runs. Here's the pitch. That's fouled back just to the right of our booth.
Yes, Terry, the A's have a collective ERA, believe it or not, 6.29 here in spring training.
They were beaten yesterday 12-1 by Texas, and the day before they gave up 12 runs in that game as well, but they won that game 13-12 against Seattle. But 24 runs given up the past 2 days, and already 4 in less than 2 innings today. Here's a bouncer back near the mound, stopped by Minaya, underhands the toss to first, and the inning is over. Angels get 3 in the inning. We're headed to the bottom of the 2nd. It's 4-0 Angels on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Jared Weaver staked to a 4-0 lead as he enters the bottom of the second. Weaver set him down 1-2-3 with a strikeout in the first. And Danny Valencia will be the first batter up. Third baseman, cleanup man, who's hit 5 home runs this spring for Oakland. And he takes that pitch for a called strike.
For the first time in a long time, Danny Valencia has a job, a secure job coming out of spring training.
Here's Weaver's next pitch. It's lifted in the air to center field. Trout has a beat on it, though, and he will make the catch a few feet from the rim of the track out there in center field, one away.
And for Weaver, it's all a matter of keeping that consistent slot mechanics as he gestures and thanks Mike Trout in center field. Yes, he's going to pitch to contact more often, but so far through 4 batters, he has not thrown anything over the middle of the plate, and that's a plus.
So here is Jed Lowry, and the first pitch takes that one for strike 1. Lowry's had a good spring. And the next delivery, it's a little bit inside on the switch hitter.
It's a good job by Weave running that fastball back. A little Bartolo Colon action there. And that 2-seamer. He needs every ounce, every inch to go out there and try to get the most out of every single miles per hour. And he does drop another Bartolo Colon on Lowry.
How's Bartolo doing this spring? Have you been following
Bartolo
him?
has his usual 6 ERA in spring training.
Nothing new there.
But it doesn't matter.
There's one line just out of the reach of Crone, and then the ball ricochets over there. It's going to be a ground rule double.
Down reached over and touched it.
Boy, that was a vicious low line drive. It was just fair over the first base bag. Crone went diving toward the line, just unable to get to it. You can't fault him there. And a ground rule double for Jed Lowry. So he's at second. That's the first Oakland hit, and Billy Butler will be the next batter.
Weave couldn't just finish this one up the way he wanted it. Got too much of the plate and also elevated a couple more inches than he had desired. And Lowry, good professional hitter, gets it done. He's having a hot spring. Now 6 doubles this spring for Lowry.
So here's Billy Butler. Weaver wants to have a word with Soto before they match up here against Butler. Billy Butler trying to have a bounce back year for the Oakland A's. Hit just .251 last season, and that was a career low for him.
Expect him to be better. Terry, I'm going to guarantee that he's going to be way better this year.
Pitch on its way. That one misses for a ball.
Billy extremely happy for his former teammates that went out there and accomplished something so special. The Royals getting that ring.
Butler is a career .290 hitter. And the pitch, that's in there, an off-speed pitch for a called strike.
It was only Weaver's 3rd start in the Cactus League. The first one, pretty solid, 2 innings against the Cubs. Second one, not good. It was against the Dodgers. He allowed 3 home runs. His last time out was against minor leaguers, as Terry alluded to. And it was with mixed results.
Here's Butler fouling one off, backing out of play down the right side.
But what Mike Scioscia has seen out of Weaver is the fact that he's not running away from these issues. And we're talking about issues with his spine that normally occur to every one of us. But Weaver has been out there with his teammates. He's gone through a more strenuous stretching program. But he wants to get it fixed and get it done on the mound.
Here's the next delivery, and Butler pops this one up on the right side. Should be an easy play for Navarro, the second baseman. He's on the outfield grass, couple feet back on the grass to put that one away for the second out.
We're going to see a lot of these reactions, Terry, as we just saw from Billy Butler when Weaver's on the mound. And just saying, how did I not absolutely crush that pitch? Of course, you go out there and sit off speed, but what Weaver can do is when a consistent arm slot in, that little deception he's showing with that tall frame, just 2 or 3 or 4 miles an hour are just exactly what he needs. And he's the first one to tell you, forget about velocity. Yeah, let's talk about it because everybody does, but it's not there. It's not coming back. Nothing I can do about it.
So Jared works with 2 outs, and at the plate is Alonso, the first baseman. He takes ball 1. It's 1 ball, no strikes. We'll check out the Ram out-of-town scoreboard on this Friday in just a moment. It's brought to you by the Ram 1500, available with Eco Diesel V6 that gets an estimated 29 miles per gallon highway. Visit ramtrucks.com to learn more. Weaver's next pitch, and that's outside. 2 balls, no strikes.
Yonder Alonso hoping that he has found a home here with the Oakland A's. Pretty much everybody around baseball is just waiting, Terry, for him to put a solid, about a full season together.
Had some injury issues. 28 years old, left-handed batter. Next delivery, he cuts it that one and fouls it off on the left side out of play. Jose was alluding to a home run that Mark Trumbo hit here when he was with the Angels at this ballpark earlier.
Terry, that's still going.
Right. And Trumbo hit another home run for the Orioles today in the Grapefruit League. He's hit 5 of them for Baltimore, and they beat the Yankees 11-10 in a game that went 10 innings. J.J. Hardy had a home run. Manny Machado had one. Nolan Reimold also hit a home run in that Baltimore win. So they were playing long ball against New York today.
Trumbull spreads the ball, playing half of those games in Camden Yards. He'll hit 50 home runs.
Here's the pitch. This is skied in the air into right center. Not very deep. Trout is battling the sun. Will make the grab, and the inning is over. Race a 1-out double. We've completed 2 here in Mesa, and the Angels have a 4-0 lead on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Albert Pujols leads off the 3rd. Angels lead the game 4-0. Pitch in there for a strike. Fans in attendance for the Angels opening series against the Chicago Cubs on April 4th and 5th will receive a wall calendar. It's courtesy of U.S. Bank while supplies last. First pitch for that ball game on the opener, and game 2 will be at 7:05. Every fan matters. Purchase your tickets at angels.com or call 714-4ANGELS. Operators are standing by. 0-2 now on Albert. Manaya is ready, and here's the next pitch. That's a fastball way up and in. Other action in the Grapefruit League today. Braves split squad, and the Astros played to a 1-1 tie. That game went 9 innings. Minnesota beat Tampa Bay 6-1. Twins had a pair of homers from Kurt Suzuki. And also a pair from Trevor Plouffe.
I just heard a Cal State Fullerton product. Kurt Suzuki went deep twice.
Yes, he did.
Gotta like that. Because we also have Rob Drake here as one of the umpires, another Titan. Had a chance to talk to him before the game.
Had his son here at the ballpark today. The pitch, Albert skies one deep down the left field side, but that ball will be foul. He really gave it a ride out there. That was one the fans just kept watching, but it landed foul.
Majestic shot by Pujols. Nice and easy swing. Look at that ball carry. There's no better example when you allow that power to come from the pitcher and you just meet that baseball and barrel it up.
2-2 on Pujols, and that one comes in, and it got a piece of him.
Well,
he's limping a little bit, got him around the foot or the leg.
Yeah, the bad news is always when Pujols has any issues with a lower body. If there's any good news here is the fact that he's walking to first base and that it was a breaking ball, not a fastball. So we're talking mid to upper 90s on that fastball from Minaya. And this is that sweeping breaking ball he throws. It was like a sidearm breaking ball that went right to Pujols' back foot, right foot.
And the right foot was the one that had the surgery on it in November. Albert's okay. He says he's okay.
Albert's not coming out.
He might not be okay, but he says he's okay.
Yeah, he's not too happy, but it was a breaking ball. There's no purpose, no intent there. And Albert just has that face like, man, I really wanted to hit, man. I just hit a ball like 2 miles foul.
Right. So
now, knowing Albert, he might try to steal here there, right, Terry? He might go here.
It wouldn't surprise me. Here's Crone, who walked his first time up. He takes that one for a strike. Couple of other games in the Grapefruit League today in Florida. One was rained out. That was a game in Lakeland today. The Tigers were slated to host the Braves split squad, and they're in the 9th inning. Mets and Cardinals. It's 5-4 St. Louis. Randall Grichuk has hit a home run, his second this spring for St. Louis.
Oh, you're asking me about Bartolo and his Mets? Rough outing yesterday, too, for Matt Harvey. But Bartolo was actually trying to send a message to some young pitchers that worry so much about the stats and using himself as an example about getting your work in. A 6 ERA for a veteran pitcher means nada in spring training.
Here's the 1-2. It's fouled off on the right side, backing out of play.
And there are some big names. Arrieta, Baumgartner. There's some big names with very high ERAs here in preseason. Felix Hernandez, spring of 2015, had an 11 ERA, and the concerns were there. But when the lights turned on, he was a Cy Young candidate.
So 1 ball, 2 strikes here on Crone, and here's the next pitch. He cuts at that one and misses it. Chased the pitch low, struck him out.
Chase is right. As we were talking about Crone perhaps trying to incorporate a walk into his game. Those are the type of examples right there that you got to let that ball go.
So the batter will be Simmons, who has singled and scored. Mentioned Arrieta. I guess Arrieta has a little bit of a blister problem right now on his thumb, his pitching thumb.
Came out of that game. Couldn't even finish an inning yesterday.
Yeah.
Was that a great score yesterday? What was that score? 14-13 or something like that? 4-hour game?
Wild game. They had like 30 hits in that game, I want to say, yesterday. Cubs and the Giants. Tempers got a
16-14.
Yeah.
33 hits, 4 errors.
There's a chopper. It's hit to short, flipped to second, one, relay to first, not in time. That was slow and developing right there.
That's a mistake by the Source shortstop. And the growing pains are there. As you can see, Semien going back to the grass kind of to clear his mind, but it was the initial feed way too high. Threw a changeup and a high changeup to Lowry, who made a great effort in catching the ball to begin with and then trying to turn a double play. And made it awfully close, even with a bat feed from the shortstop.
So here's Giovanni Soto. And the first pitch, that that one is in there for a strike. It looked like Simmons was going to break for second, and then he jammed on the brakes.
So going back to that game last night, Terry, Arrieta has an 8.5 ERA. Baumgartner has a 11.12 ERA. Don't get caught up in that. It will not matter.
I wouldn't bet against either guy in the regular season. But you mentioned Arrieta, and he's the likely opening day starter for the Cubs against the Angels. We want the big A.
1/3 of an inning because of a blister issue. Gave up 5 earned runs, a couple of walks, 4 hits.
Count's even, 1 ball, 1 strike. There's a pickoff toss, breaking for second, and getting there without a throw will be Simmons. Well, after Minaya threw to Alonso never relayed it up to second base, so it looked like Simmons was going to be a dead duck, but he is safe at second.
Well, it was twofold here as Minaya really slowed down his delivery. He read Simmons because Simmons went on first move, and then that really caught off guard the first baseman Alonso. Could not get rid of the baseball or find that lane to make that throw to second base.
Goes down as a stolen base. Pitch in there on Soto.
And if you're trying to convince somebody to run first move, show them that piece of video. First move against lefties. So effective.
Here's the pitch. That one misses for a ball. Well, the Oakland A's last season, they were the worst fielding team in the majors, and they've made some mistakes already defensively here early in this ballgame.
They made their share of errors here in spring training. 34 coming into today.
Yeah. There's a pitch high. And, of course, errors prolong innings, and it also makes pitchers have to throw more pitches.
Thus, it translates into having to go to your bullpen more often sometimes for that reason.
Right.
Many effects.
3-2. That's fouled back upstairs and out of play.
But think about this play, Terry. There was not an error that prolonged this inning. It doesn't go as an error, but it was a physical mistake by the shortstop.
Yeah, it should have been a double play ball. And they have a runner picked off. They don't execute as well. There could have been 4 outs in this inning
That's what
already.
I'm saying. That's one thing that, is not going to be seen as an error. But, yeah, I mean, in the eyes of his manager and the staff, it's a mistake.
3 balls and 2 strikes. The payoff delivery. That is ball 4, so the inning will continue.
So exactly what you're talking about. Here it is. All these pitches that are now mounting up against Minaya, who's now at 67. With cleaner baseball, he'd be resting in that dugout right now and prolonging his outing.
So here's Ray Navarro, the switch hitting second baseman for the Angels. Popped out to short his first time up. Angels have 4 runs, 5 hits. The Oakland A's, no runs, 1 hit. We're in the top of the 3rd. Here's the pitch. Grounded sharply down to 3rd. Juggled slightly by Valencia, but his throw is in plenty of time, and the inning is over. Angels fail to score, and an opportunity. We're headed to the bottom of the 3rd. 4-0 Halos on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Driven
Shortstop for the A's is number 10, shortstop Marcus Semien.
Marcus Semien, who is the shortstop for the Oakland A's, will lead things off for them as we go to the bottom of the third. Angels have a 4-0 lead. Fans take part in the Angels 5K and Fun Run. It's presented by St. Joseph Hoag Health on April the 9th at the Big A. All participants will receive a commemorative shirt and a finisher's medal. Register today at angels.com/5K. First pitch taken for a strike by Semien. This is his first time up. And here's the next pitch from Jared Weaver. Breaking ball low and outside. 1-1 the count. Infield spread apart, no shift on. Outfield straight away, and here comes the next pitch. Skied in the air down the left field side. Gentry is towards the line in fair ground. The left fielder makes the grab. Easy out. One gone to start off the bottom of the third, and the hitter will be the catcher, Bruce Maxwell.
So impressed with Craig Gentry now that he's fully healthy. And the jumps he gets in the outfield and left and center, the angles he takes, a first step quickness, pretty impressive. And of course the ground that he covers, always a plus to have somebody like that either on your bench who is a part of a platoon or however it is. Always welcome to have that type of speed and experience.
Here's Maxwell at the plate, left-handed hitting catcher, and he takes strike one. It's 2 balls, 1 strike. Next pitch. That ball's hit well to right field. Out by the fence on the warning track. Running out of room is Cole Calhoun. It's gone. Second home run this spring for Maxwell. That's the 4th given up by Jared Weaver in limited innings this spring. And now it's a 4-1 Angels lead.
It's one of those things. It doesn't matter if you hit first. Cleanup ninth, a mistake is a mistake, and sometimes the advantage for the number 9 hitter is that he's already seen and been able to time your stuff by watching and also by looking at some of the approaches and patterns you have set up with 8 hitters in front of you. It's just a good job of hitting by Maxwell with a pretty decent plan.
So Weaver in 7 innings this spring has given up 4 home runs.
Gave up a total of 24 last season.
There's the 0-1-0 Coco Crisp, and he waves and misses that off-speed pitch for strike 2. Crisp has had a rough spring for Oakland. He is just 5 for 36, hitting under 140, and he takes that one outside.
Well, the injuries have really taken a toll on Coco Crisp the last couple of seasons. When he was on, man, he was regarded as one of the top leadoff hitters in baseball and showed some surprising power, Terry, a couple of years ago.
Been on the DL 7 times in his A's career, and he's had all sorts of injuries. It's just not the same thing. In recent seasons, he had elbow surgery on his right elbow last year. He's had hamstring problems, neck problems over the last 2 seasons.
Got to be happy he locked up the multi-year deal when he did.
Next pitch, that one bounces in. So it's a full count, 3-2. Coco Crisp now 36 years old. LA native. And the payoff pitch, cut and a miss. Weaver got him, struck him out. Jared's second strikeout today. 2 gone in the inning.
Well, he went to the fastball, which, of course, for many guys is a changeup type pitch, velocity-wise. And after so many off speeds, he got it by Coco, who was also looking to go deep with a 2-strike count.
Here's Canna. Right-hander against right-hander. And Weaver's pitch, breaking ball. That one is low and outside.
Weaver's been dropping some 65s, 66s, 81s, 82s. I see a better finish, at least, to his pitches when it came down to his follow-through. Not necessarily the bite or any extra zip he might have, But just the fact that when we saw him, Terry, about 2 weeks ago, you could see that he was not able to finish off. He was restricted. Now, with the mechanic adjustment, arm slot more consistent, bullpen work, and some more stretching, hopefully at least the finish will be better with his arm and his body.
1-1 on Canada. That's outside.
Times it seemed like he was holding back, almost like a recoil type action, where because of this situation he has with his spine, did not allow him, or at times doesn't allow him to be freely out there.
Here comes Weaver's 2-1 delivery, and Canna lifts it in the air infield. This should be the end of the inning. Let's see who's going to take charge. It will be the shortstop Simmons, who makes the catch right in front of Navarro. The inning is over. A's get their first run, but after 3, it's 4-1 Angels on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Four-1 Angels as we head to the 4th. Greg Gentry, who's driven in half of those 4 runs for the Angels, will lead it off here against Minaya. And the first pitch in there for a strike. Fans, be a winner and play in the Gardens Casino new Omaha Progressive Jackpot. Visit thegardenscasino.com for more info, and please play responsibly. Next delivery grounded on the right side. Good stop, though, by Alonso, the first baseman, and he will beat Gentry to the bag for the unassisted out. Let's pause for stations to identify themselves on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Terry Smith, Jose Mota, and our producer-engineer Darren Chan with you on this Friday here from the Valley. We're in Mesa at Ho-Ho-Com Park, home of the Oakland A's, spring training home. Escobar batting now, swings at that one and fouls it back up above us, out of play. Brunel is 1 for 2 and 21 for 42 this spring.
42 at-bats, no strikeouts.
Here comes the next pitch. He waves at that one, so he is deep in the hole right now, 0-2.
It's okay. Still alive. I'm going to say it again. He has not struck out this spring.
You're trying the old broadcaster's jinx right there.
No, whatever I say here has nothing to do with what happens down there.
And the 0-2, he hit that one hard but foul.
Really? You believe in that, Terry? You believe in that?
I don't believe in it.
Okay,
but,
good.
I've known players who have believed in it.
Players? They're playing.
And there might even be fans that believe in it. I don't know.
Sorry.
I know some people believe in it.
We're calling the game. It's our job.
Here's the 0-2 pitch. Oh, that's up and in. And Escobar really never backed out of there until the ball was being thrown back to the pitcher.
There's a youngster saying, you know what, you're a veteran and everything, but you're crowding the plate way too much.
Here's the 1-2. That's lined into right field, and that's another hit for Escobar.
You want me to say it again?
Be my guest.
See, whatever I said here had nothing to do with it. He got a single. Guy's hitting over 500 for crying out loud. Terry, good job calling the game.
Thank you, Jose.
It should.
So here's Cole Calhoun. He tried to bunt his last time up and popped it up and foul ground to the catcher. Let's see what the Angels look to do here with 1 out, 1 on in the fourth, up 4-1.
He needs to swing the bat. Mike Scioscia was trying to force the issue on safety squeezes. It's first and third with Calhoun, lefty. It didn't work.
It's a toss over to first. Escobar back. Not much of a threat to run, only 2 stolen bases last year. Mike Trout waiting on deck. Here's the pitch. That one a little bit low. Trout arranged a little group outing to the Phoenix Suns Lakers game the other night.
Was he sitting in the top row way up there? Probably not.
Probably not. I would assume courtside, but I don't know that's the fact of that situation or not. There's the pitch, and that one is low. But
Mike does a good job getting his guys together.
Some of the Angel players who were there with Trout visited the Lakers locker room after the game, and Tyler Skaggs was saying that after they met Kobe Bryant after the game, that some of the things Kobe said as far as coming back from injuries really made a point for him, and he said he kind of took that to the mound yesterday. He was thinking about some of the things, not that Kobe was necessarily addressing Skaggs personally, but just the group of Angel players coming back from adversity and things like that. And Skaggs said he was thinking about it out on the mound yesterday, and it helped him. He kind of fed off of the advice.
That's wonderful coming from a one-of-a-kind player in Kobe Bryant. And there was a big deal made out of Kobe's last visit here to Phoenix. Rightfully so.
Yeah, the Suns fans didn't know whether to love him or hate him.
It's true. As is the case in many other cities and other stops.
Here's Cole Calhoun hitting a ball well into center field. Going back on it is Coco Crisp. He has a beat on it. A few feet from the rim of the track. Fires the ball back to the infield and gets away from the cutoff man. It was not a good throw by Crisp back to the infield. So wisely advancing up to second base will be Escobar, and that figures to be another error.
As the Angels have done for years against Coco Crisp. But the minute that ball goes to deep center field, you have to force the issue and make him throw the baseball. And Coco, unfortunately, has never had the strongest of arms. And he absolutely just sunk one and threw a grounder into the infield that was not played well by his infielders. That ball should have been stopped somewhere by somebody. But it rolled all the way into the infield grass.
Will be an error on Crisp, and that's the A's second error today. And they've had a few that haven't gone down in the error category as well in this game. Trout takes ball one. It's 1 ball, no strikes, so 2 outs, runner at second.
Mike Trout has been swinging a power bat going back to yesterday.
Manaya's pitch. That's a strike on the outside corner.
Impressive display yesterday against Chris Sale. Goodness. Dropped the barrel. Long home run. First at bat today. Drops the barrel. Center field home run. 3 now for Trout this spring. 11 RBIs.
Here's the next delivery, and he hits this one sharply right between the legs of the base runner, Escobar. That ball is by the shortstop, Simeon. It rolls into left center, and coming in and scoring is Escobar. Trout's second RBI of the game. This one comes with 2 outs here in the inning, and the Angels add on. It's now 5-1.
Well, thankfully, that ball was not hit right at Marcus Simeon. That ball was absolutely scorched. Luckily, for Escobar. He was able to at least jump, get out of the way, and not let that ball hit him as a base runner.
So here's Albert. Trout's getting a decent lead. See if he might be looking to pick up a base here. Good size lead for Trout. There he goes. The pitch is a strike. The throw, and Trout is safe. Mike?
When did he slide?
I was going to say, he started to dive in a second, and you wondered if he had enough momentum to get to the bag, but he is safe.
Come on now, Willie Mays Hayes. Huh? He slid so early.
Right.
He's light. He is losing momentum going towards second base.
Right.
Nice throw, too, by the way. And good to see Mike. First move, don't think about it, man. Just go.
So now a hit could bring him in. The 0-1 on Pujols. That one misses high. Albert was hit by a pitch on his right foot his last time up.
See Johnny G up because of that. Johnny Givatella now up.
All right, so it is the pinch hitter Givatella for Albert. So I guess a precautionary move as far as Pujols leaving.
This late in spring training, don't take a chance.
Here's the pitch. That's a fly ball lifted into left field. It's right at the left fielder, Canna. He'll put it away, and that'll do it for the Angels. So a run in the inning. The Angels had a couple of hits and take a 5-1 lead to the bottom of the fourth on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Jared Weaver working with a 5-1 lead as we start things off. Bottom of the fourth inning. First pitch, a breaking ball, misses high. 1 ball, no strikes on Josh Reddick. And here's the pitch. It's a little bit low. 2 balls, no strikes. Reddick is grounded out his only time up. Weaver's given up 2 hits, 1 run. Shift on the right side of the infield. Reddick taking that one all the way, and it misses ball 3, 3-0. Weaver's 3-0 delivery right in there for a called strike. Here's the next pitch. That's in there again. Called strike. So Reddick has taken all 5 pitches, 3 out of the zone, 2 have been in there. And the payoff pitch. ripped into right field, and that one is just over the head of Cole Calhoun. He jumped up on the warning track, couldn't make the grab, and Reddick slides into second base with a leadoff double.
Mission accomplished. See a lot of pitches, work yourself into a count where he has to be forced into the zone, and Reddick did not miss it. Absolute laser shot out to right field. And Calhoun made it every effort. And he leaped. The fastball stayed up. Even that pitch there, he looks like it was even off the plate inside.
Yeah,
Just
it was up and in.
Didn't have enough to get it by Reddick.
So here's Valencia. All three Oakland hits so far in this game have been for extra bases, couple doubles and a homer. Here's Weaver's pitch. Breaking ball popped up out around second base. Let's see who's going to call for it. Simmons, the shortstop, a couple feet back on the outfield grass behind second, puts it away. That's the first out.
Yeah, it's another one of those at bats. Valencia going back to that dugout saying, how did I miss that?
Second baseman, Jed Lowry.
Stretch mounts so quickly, much quicker against guys that are not going to get the fastball by you when you know you should have at least taken a better approach and a quicker path for that baseball.
Jed Lowry will bat. Well, Jared Weaver is a fly ball pitcher, and 6 of the last 7 outs recorded behind him have been in the air. There's the first one on Lowry. It's a fastball high and outside.
That was pitch number 47 for Jared Weaver. Now he goes around this batting order a second time, which is always a telling test to see if they change their approach and how he stays with the same approach he's had throughout.
Here's the next pitch. That's popped up foul on the left side, out of play. This Oakland club, they were in the cellar last year in the AL West. They were 20 games out of first place, 68 wins, 94 losses. They were 88 and 74 the year before in 2014, and they have been to the postseason 3 of the last 4 years, but obviously not last year when they lost the 94 games.
You were talking about the defense. You combine that defense, that's how poor it was, with their bullpen issues. And it was pretty scary.
There's a pitch high.
And with as many as the young starters that they've always had through the years, they find a way to develop good young starting pitching. So they went the veteran move this time, Terry, as you know very well, with the signings of Ryan Madson and John Axford.
Look to improve their bullpen, and they feel they have to some degree. Here's the next delivery. This is hit in the air in the left center field. That ball's hit well. It's going to take a bounce and hit off the wall. Going into third base and being waved around and scoring is Reddick. Even though he got a late start, he wasn't sure if Trout was going to be able to run that one down. It's an RBI double for Lowry. Pair of doubles in the inning. And the Angels' lead is now at 5-2.
This pair of doubles now for Lowry, who's got 7 doubles in the spring, and his average is near 500 right now. Mike Trout did a great job throwing a decoy at the runner, Reddick. That's why in this ball it seems appear like a quick gapper right off the bat. Just by a little gesture throwing his glove up just is enough to stop Reddick from getting a better jump and scoring easier.
They have hit some balls hard against Weaver here in the first 4 innings, but the Angels do have the lead. And here's Butler taking a pitch for a strike. The count 0-1. Butler popped out to second. It was back in the bottom of the second inning. And here's the pitch. He pops that one back foul behind the plate. Fans, every fan matters when the Angels take on the Texas Rangers April the 8th. 7:05 first pitch at the Big A. Fans in attendance receive a plaid blanket courtesy of St. Joseph Hogue Health while supplies last. You can visit angels.com or call 714-4-ANGELS to get your tickets. Operators are standing by. Two strikes here on Butler. Weaver's pitch. Breaking ball fouled off right side, out of play. A's are getting some action in their bullpen. Jared Weaver hunched over, looking in, gets the sign from Soto. Here's the next pitch. It's a curveball low and outside. Good block on it by the Angels catcher.
Once again, Soto, Terry, as you talk about Soto and that block, is the way he's been setting up today has been pretty clear on a plan that they established before the game. Remember, Soto has not caught Weaver all that often, away from a couple of bullpens.
The 1-2 pitch. This is hit well into right center field. Chasing after it is Cole Calhoun. Has a beat on it. He'll run it down in right center. It's deep enough that the runner at second will tag. So Lowry moves up on the fly out. Second out in the inning. Another out in the air. And Alonso will be the next batter.
This is one that, of course, thankfully, Giovanni Soto had set up way outside. But this ball ran back out over the plate. And fortunately, this ball didn't carry more, or was hit harder. Not exactly the finish he wanted to see there from Wee, but certainly one that perhaps Billy Butler waited on a little bit too much.
Alonso at the plate. Fly out is only time up. Here's the pitch. Left-handed batter takes that one low. 1 ball, no strikes.
Weaver at home last year. The same old Jared Weaver, 4-2 with a 2.79 ERA. On the road, 3-10 ERA, 6.01.
Well, night and day. Here's a pop-up that should end the inning. Waiting on it. Fair ground right near the foul line is the first baseman, C.J. Cron. And that will end the inning. A run in the inning for the A's. And as we head to the 5th, Angels lead it here in Mesa 5-2 on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Fifth inning, and a new pitcher is on the mound for the Oakland A's. Fernando Rodriguez will take over. Sean Manaea worked 4 innings for the A's, gave up 7 hits, 5 runs, 4 earned, 2 walks, 1 strikeout, hit a batter, and gave up a home run. So Fernando Rodriguez, who briefly pitched for the Angels back in 2009, will take over. Had a pretty good year for the A's in their bullpen last year. 56 appearances, 4-2 record, 3.84 ERA. His first delivery, and C.J. Cron, the batter that's in there, called strike. Rodriguez has had a good spring, 6 appearances. He's allowed just 1 run in 8 1/3 innings, no walks, 11 strikeouts. And there's a cut and a miss. He's way in front on Crone, 0-2.
Healthy arm, straight over the top. He's got that quick hand separation that sometimes serves as a deception move to the hitters, where they couldn't find enough time with that window to pick up the baseball.
Here's the next pitch. Grounded sharply to short. Waiting on it, Simeon has time, throws low, but it's dug out by Alonso. So Crone is retired. Wasn't the greatest of throws by Simeon, but Alonso digging it out of the dirt. And Drolton Simmons will be the next batter. Mentioned Fernando Rodriguez, just a brief stint at the major league level with the Angels, but he did spend 8 years in the Angels organization. And the pitch popped up on the right side. First baseman Alonso near the coaching box in foul ground will make the catch. So a couple of quick outs. Giovanni Soto will be the next batter.
News from Angels camp today is manager Mike Scioscia said C.J. Wilson is shut down, Terry, from throwing and will not play catch for another 8 to 10 days.
And he has not thrown a pitch all spring for the Angels.
To start off, the Angels had a plan to get him back on track after his elbow surgery. Then when he got on the mound, threw a couple of bullpens, then had trouble and became a shoulder problem.
And here's a pitch that comes in on Soto, and he is hit by the pitch.
That's another breaking ball that got away from an A's pitcher, as it did with Minaya and Albert Pujols. Again, Pujols hit on his right foot by a breaking ball, had to come out of the game. And here's a curveball that gets away from Rodriguez and reaches on Giovanni Soto's back.
So here's Navarro, the second baseman. Bats left, the switch hitter, and the pitch. Takes the first one a little bit low.
Navarro came into the game with good numbers, 286, home run, 8 RBIs. Got a chance to start today, batting 8th at second base. Mike Scioscia and the staff taking a long look. He's got experience, helpful, versatile player.
There's one that's on the outside corner.
So Pennington, he's got that backup infielder's job locked up. Terry, let's see where that last spot goes to. And which way the Angels go. Ortega has had a nice showing as an outfielder. G-Man Choi has a pretty good chance as a Rule 5 and what he's shown.
There's one that's low, blocked by the catcher Maxwell. I guess we got some news today on Deolis Guerra as well, right?
Guerra has elected free agency after being put on waivers.
Had a rough outing, his most recent outing this spring for the Angels, and
that was giving up a game-winning homer at Maryville.
Yeah, 2 homers in the bottom of the 9th in that ball game.
The other Guerra, Javi Guerra, has thrown the ball well. Former Dodgers closer, who was impressed with his command and the fact that he's pitched well in 7 games. 8 strikeouts in 8 innings for Javi Guerra. 3.3 ERA.
Next pitch, and this one is hit well by Navarro in right center field, chasing hard after it is Coco Crisp, and he will make the running catch in deep right center. The inning is over. We're headed to the bottom of the 5th here in Mesa. The Angels are leading the Oakland A's. It's 5-2 on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Bottom of the fifth, 5-2 Angels fans. Experian. Let's get serious about your credit. Go to Experian.com today. Jared Weaver against Marcus Semien. First pitch, a cut and a miss. 0-1 the count on the A's shortstop. He's flied out his only time up. Here's the pitch, and that's a slow curveball lifted in the air into left center field. It's hanging up. Trout is coming in, and he will make the catch with Gentry right beside him. They kind of got crowded together there, but the catch made for out number one.
Good thing that ball was in the air a long time. That's when your center fielder, obviously, and your left fielder coming in, but they cannot afford to take their eyes off the baseball and that path because of the tough situation here with the sky. Not a cloud up there, very bright. Mike Trout does a good job calmly staying under it, under control. But remember, Craig Gentry also has a mentality of a center fielder and has great coverage.
Here's Maxwell, hit a home run his first time up. Drew one out to right field. Left-handed batter takes that breaking ball, and that's in there for a called strike. And maybe Weaver and Soto got crossed up on that pitch. Soto immediately goes out to the mound to have a word with Jared Weaver.
One veteran getting used to the other.
Here's the next pitch. That's a little bit high and outside.
You can see just that little extra finish that Weaver has been able to have with his arm slot, and with his body is allowing the ball to run better today with that fastball.
1-1 pitch. That's low. Last 5 outs recorded against the A's have all been in the air. Weaver has 2 strikeouts, and 2 batters so far have been retired on the ground. Here's the next delivery. Breaking ball grounded sharply to first. Fielded there by Crone as he will solo to the bag. That's the second out. Last 4 retired in a row by Jared. 2 outs here in the 5th. Coco Crisp, the next batter.
Now, there have been some hard hit balls for outs, but certainly all you got to worry about right now, Terry, is Weaver's mindset. Taking something positive out of this start. You know what you're going to get out of him effort-wise? No question at all. And Weaver, as tough as last year was, you know, he only made 26 starts out of a scheduled 33 starts. But when the Angels needed him to step up, he did. September and October.
There's a pitch a little bit low. And this lineup for Oakland today, pretty much their A lineup. Stephen Vogt obviously would be in there. He's not playing today. And then the other batter would be Billy Burns. He's not in there, but you could certainly say 7 of the 9 are regulars for Oakland.
Sure. September last year, Weaver 5 starts, ERA of 3.9. 1 start in October. 6 innings, 1 run.
Here's Crisp hitting one well down the right field side near the wall, and that one is gone. That's his first home run this spring. That's the second homer that Weaver has given up. A couple of solo shots today, and now it's a 5-3 Angels lead.
For Coco Crisp, it's a matter of adjusting and learning. As for he struck out in that 3rd inning, you can see the frustration building. He took a big swing when he missed a fastball right down the middle. Shoulder flying open, his head looking out towards the right field pole. This time, different story as Weave knows this one's not going to stay in the yard. Another home run allowed by Weaver here in camp.
Here's the next pitch. This is Canna at the plate. He lifts a fly ball to Trout in medium center. He is there to put it away, and that's how the inning will end. The A's have scored a run in each of the last 3 innings, but as we head to the 6th, the Angels are up 5-3 on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Sixth inning we go, and the Angels have a 5-3 lead. Craig Gentry will be the batter, and there's a new pitcher for the Oakland A's. John Axford takes over. He replaces Fernando Rodriguez, who had a scoreless fifth against the Angels. So Axford, the new pitcher, and this spring he's done a good job. This is his 6th appearance. He's worked 5 innings. He's allowed 1 hit, no runs, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. Axford last year was with the Rockies. He had 25 saves for them. First ball swinging as Gentry chops it to Semien. His throw is not handled by the first baseman Alonso. So that figures to be another error against the A's.
And for Semien, the nightmare here continues. He was saved already a couple of times by Alonso at first base on low throws. And after committing 35 errors last year, here's another one for himself and for the A's, who came into this game. I repeat myself, 34 errors for Oakland coming into this ball game.
That was as routine a ground ball as you'll ever see.
You're right on the money.
I mean, Gentry can run, so he might have forced Semien to speed that play up a little bit, but that was a routine ground ball. Escobar batting, takes that one for a called strike.
That is Semien's 3rd error here in Cactus League action.
No balls, 1 strike to count. The 35 errors by Semien last year were the most errors by any player at any position in the majors last season. And that was also a record number of errors by an A's shortstop.
Terry, in your many trivias in the offseason, you gave me the best one. It is related to errors, and it was about double digits in the outfield.
That's right, and that was Lorenzo Cain.
How about that?
Right. That's right.
The story goes he was the only outfielder in baseball to have committed double-digit errors.
Right.
Lorenzo Cain last year.
And I mean, people highly regard him defensively. Pitches outside on a pitch out, throw down to second base, and that's going to gun down Gentry trying to steal. Well, they guessed right on that one. And that'll be the first out here in the 6th inning.
Quick release there by Maxwell. Nice and easy. No rush whatsoever. Apply the quick tag there by Lowry at second base. As Gentry kind of sniffed something was coming, looking in, and obviously not able to make it. Good execution there by the A's. So, Terry, you got that one, man. That was a good one. Yes, that was a really good one.
I don't know that Lorenzo Cain wants to hear about it a whole lot, but the facts are the facts, I guess. There's one that's fouled back behind the plate.
I mean, it doesn't mean he's not a good outfielder.
Right.
You know? They consider Mike Trout did not make an error, and it did not guarantee him a Gold Glove.
And it doesn't mean that he dropped double-digit fly balls. A lot of it could have been on throws. Sometimes trying to cut down a runner, maybe taking an extra base. Throw ends up taking a bounce, gets by an infielder, and it's a throwing error on the outfielder. A lot of different ways that error can occur. That one's fouled off on the right side by Escobar. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Got an update on Albert Pujols, who left the game early today after getting hit by a pitch on the foot in the 3rd inning. Here's a fly ball hit to right center. Should be an easy play for Chris to put that one away. That's the 2nd out. Albert has already seen a doctor here in Mesa, and they're saying he has a right foot contusion, and he's listed as day-to-day.
Well, the good thing is, once again, that it was a breaking ball and not a fastball. They got Pujols to that right foot.
But again, that is the foot that had the surgery on it in the offseason in November.
It's going to be some pain there for days to come. Who knows? Even weeks to come.
So the batter now with 2 outs. No one on is Cole Calhoun. Angels up 5-3 here in the 6th, and the pitch is low. If nothing else, you would think it would slow down at least a little bit his return to the field.
Correct. And Albert is very close to getting back to playing first base.
Shift on, 3 infielders right side as Calhoun takes that one outside. 2-0.
John Axford from Simcoe, Ontario. Really blew into the scene quickly, saving 27 games for the Brewers in 2010, and then saving, or 24 games saved in 2010, and then 46 games saved in 2011.
Next pitch, grounded sharply by the mound right near second, stopping that one and getting the throw over there. Looked like Simeon with the shift on, and that's how the inning will end. The Angels have a fairly quiet top of the 6th. Bottom of the 6th is up next. It is 5-3 Angels on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Fans, don't forget, if your computer is running slow, go to mycleanpc.com. Get a free computer diagnosis. In minutes, you can activate MyCleanPC software to clean out the junk that may be slowing down your computer. Check them out at mycleanpc.com. Josh Reddick will be the batter for Oakland. A new pitcher for the Angels, Fernando Salas, will take over for Jared Weaver. And for Salas, game number 8 this spring. 6 innings of work. He's given up 6 hits, 2 earned runs, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts. We'll give you Weaver's numbers after the first pitch here on Reddick, who has a double today and 2 times up, and he takes that one for a strike. Weaver worked 5 innings, gave up 5 hits. They were all extra base hits, 3 doubles, 2 homers. He allowed 3 runs, all earned, didn't walk, and he struck out 2.
67 pitches for the Weave today.
And there's a pitch that is a little bit low, so the count 1-1.
Fernando Salas, 2 and 4-seam fastball. Good changeup, slider, and he needs to live down in that bottom half. That makes it more effective when he needs to elevate and change eye levels, because his fastball is somewhat sneaky.
Salas will be a part of the Angel bullpen core. He also will be a free agent at the end of the year. Here's his pitch. This is skied in the air on the left side of the infield. Escobar, the third baseman, makes the catch on the dirt, and that is out number 1 here in the bottom of the 6th.
As he went through Weaver's line also, as Weaver went back to the dugout after his last out recorded in the 5th inning. He was out there visiting with Mike Scioscia and pointing out that perhaps something on his index finger. And Mike Scioscia quickly said, "You're done." So we'll get a little more nose on Weaver later on.
Here's Danny Valencia. Line out, pop out 0 for 2. Right-hander against right-hander. The pitch on Valencia. Right in there for a strike. We'll check out the Ram out-of-town scoreboard in just a moment. Brought to you by the Ram 1500. Available with Eco Diesel V6 that gets an estimated 29 miles per gallon highway. Visit ramtrucks.com to learn more. And there's a check swing. Did he go around? No. 1-1 the count. Cactus League, 6th inning. Indians and D-backs 1-1. 6th inning. Seattle shutting out the White Sox 2-0. 6th inning. Brewers and Cubs no score. 6th inning. Giants split squad leading the Royals 5-3. Bell to home run for the Giants. That's his 5th this spring. And in the 6th inning, the Rockies are leading the Reds 5-3. In this one, it's 5-3 Angels, bottom of the 6th here in Mesa. And the next delivery, it's popped up. Foul, right side, backing out of play.
There's a number that Fernando Salas would love to improve on, and that was 8 home runs he gave up last year in 63 2/3 innings. It is the most he's ever given up in a season. Pretty decent walks plus hits per innings pitched of 1.15. His whip ERA jumped, though, Terry, from 3.38 in 2014 to 4.24 last season.
Worked a lot of games last year, 72 games. There's one that's low ball 3-2 on Valencia.
Also a career high. He had not worked more than 68 games in any season. That was back in 2011 when he also saved 24 games for St. Louis.
So Salas is set. Here's the payoff pitch. Lifted in the air, hit well into center field. Trout is going back. He is on the warning track and makes the running catch.
Right by his Millville visitors. Once again, there goes Mike Trout.
So that is out number 2.
Jerry, is everything okay?
Houston, do we have a problem? I think we're okay, Jose.
Terry Smith is also known as Mr. Fix-It.
Yeah. Here is Lowry getting ready to bat. He had a pair of doubles against Weaver. One of them drove in a run. And this time he cuts at that pitch from Salas and fouls it off on the left side, backing out of play.
It's a nice tight slider by Salas in on the hands of Jed Lowry, who aggressively is looking to extend those arms. Fernando Salas, out of a small little village in Mexico, and the name of it is Guatabampo.
Here comes the pitch. And that one is a little bit low. 1 ball, 1 strike the count. Jose, I'll work on that for you. I'm going to get to the bottom of.
I need Mr. Fix-It. Terry,
there you go.
please.
I'll get that microphone straightened out for you in just a second here. Salas ready. 2 outs, no one on the pitch. And that is a cut and a miss. A couple strikes now on Lowry. Well, teams pretty much going with all the starters. We're in the bottom of the 6th inning. Haven't had too many changes other than pitching. Albert had to leave the game after he got hit on the foot by a pitch in the 3rd inning. And the next delivery, it's fouled off on the left side, backing out of play.
It's now time. Guys need their innings, need their legs. Usually Mike Scioscia targets, and he uses this expression so often, after the off day, right, Terry?
Right. Yeah.
We've heard that for years. After the off day, guys will be out there a little bit longer. I want 7, 8 innings out of the guys. And those off days are pretty much over and done with.
Here's the 1-2. Sharply hit, but right to second. Gobbled up by Navarro, who's playing there. He'll throw to Crone, and the inning is over. Columbus has a clean bottom of the 6th. We're headed to the 7th. Angels have a 5-3 lead on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Seventh inning, we go 5-3 Angels, and don't forget, every fan matters when the Angels take on the Texas Rangers, April the 7th. Game time 7:05. Fans in attendance will receive a Mike Trout, Albert Pujols double bobblehead, courtesy of Pechanga Resort and Casino, while supplies last. Now you can visit angels.com or just call 714-4-ANGELS to purchase your tickets. Operators are standing by. Ryan Madson is pitcher number 4 of the day for Oakland as he takes over for Axford. He had a scoreless inning last inning against the Angels, and the first pitch, that one is right in there on Mike Trout for strike one. Madsen was with the world champion Kansas City Royals last season and had a very good year for them. He was on the comeback trail. Turned out to be a very pleasant surprise. He was a free agent at the end of last season, and the A's signed him to a 3-year, $22 million deal this offseason.
It's still too bad that things did not work out at all for Ryan Madsen when he signed that deal with the Angels.
Right.
He would have been such a great addition, but of course he was not healthy.
And Madsen, with the ties to Southern California, went to Valley View High School, Riverside County, born in Long Beach. Here's the pitch. That one is low. He grew up an Angels fan. Talked about that when he was in the Angels organization.
And what a force he was in that Phillies bullpen. We talk about a plus changeup and separation between a firm fastball and a plus changeup. He had it.
He's ready. Here's the pitch. That one on Trout misses. As far as Madsen this spring, he has not allowed a run. 5 innings, 6 hits, no runs allowed, 4 strikeouts. As he works here today, his 6th appearance here in the Cactus League for his new club. And the next delivery, Trout fouls it back behind the plate. Let's pause for stations to identify themselves on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Here's the 2-2. Trout grounds one sharply, but right to second. Lowry has it. He'll throw him out. So 1 away. Johnny Giavitello came in a pinch hit for Albert Pujols back in the top of the 4th inning. Will be the next batter.
Yeah, for Pujols, of course, unfortunately, it happened on a day like today when he's continuing to feel better. Breaking ball got away from the youngster Sean Manaea. He got Pujols in his back foot, his right foot. And as Terry's mentioned, clearing things up, it is the foot where he had the surgery this past November.
Yep. Saying a right foot contusion listed right now day to day. Giavitello batting. First pitch was in there. Here's the 0-1 from Madsen, and this is hit on a high chop. Deep in the hole at short. Stopped there by Simeon. He's not going to throw, and made the wise call there. He had no shot to get Johnny Giavitello, so he has a 1-out hit.
Isn't Arizona beautiful for the hitters? You see that hop. You see where the third baseman is playing, guarding against your bunt, and you know you have a base hit. Best feeling in the world.
So here's C.J. Cron, who's 0 for 2 with a walk.
Terry, I think overall for a guy like Johnny Giavitello and for so many guys that are slap hitters and can run, is what a better encouragement and a sign to hit more balls on the ground under any conditions.
Sure. There's a pitch that Cron takes, and that one misses outside. 1 ball, no strikes. Angels have 5 runs on 8 hits. A's 3 runs on 5 hits. Oakland also with 3 errors. Toss the first. Giavitello dives back to the bag. Fans, MLB.TV Premium. Everything you have come to expect and more. New low price for 2016. Watch every out-of-market game of all 30 MLB teams live in true HD on over 400 supported devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. That one's fouled back behind the plate. 1 ball, 1 strike on Cron.
Ryan Madson has pitched in 42 postseason games dating back to the 2008 Phillies Division Series all the way to World Series in 08, World Series in 2015. Terry, he has done it all, and certainly for one of the good guys, it's good to see him back on the mound, healthy, contributing, and snuck in last year with the Royals when many people didn't think he would last due to the arm issues he's had in the past. Happy for him.
Yep, 68 appearances last year. There goes the runner, Giavotella. The pitch was a ball. The throw to second. He's out.
Well, Maxwell has been impressive behind the plate. Bruce Maxwell just gunning people down. The quick release, a little bit of a three-quarter release, and the ball just kind of fades right into that path. Put the tag down and see it.
Threw out Gentry last inning. He throws out Giavotella here in the 7th. Angels have stolen a couple today. And one was when the A's failed to complete a rundown. There's a cut and a miss. 2-2 on Crone. When the Angels signed Ryan Madson, that was after he was coming off of Tommy John elbow surgery, and it was a long way back for him. There's a liner just off the top part of the glove of Lowry, and that's going to fall into right center. Hit all the way for Crone, his first hit today.
What's pretty impressive about C.J. Crone is the fact that he had just missed the changeup, and I think because of that changeup, he has to change his mentality approach and stay a little bit closer on that front shoulder, and even if the fastball is going to beat him, he's got to understand he's got to be a little bit quicker. But all because of having been fooled on the previous pitch allows him to do exactly what he did there and staying square to the ball, to the big part of the field. That was a nice finish to his day.
It's like Quentin Berry has come in to run for Crone. So C.J. Crone went 1 for 3 today. And Berry draws a throw. He dives back to the bag safely. Angels up 5-3 here in the 7th. The score update, it's brought to you by Experian. Get serious about your credit by visiting Experian.com. And there goes the runner Berry. The throw down to second base, and he is out. Wow.
Goodness.
Bruce Maxwell gunning him down right now. Shades of Yadier Molina. Inning is over on the caught stealing. We are headed to the bottom of the 7th. It's still a 5-3 Angels lead on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. lot of changes defensively for the Angels. We'll pick those up as we get things going here in the bottom of the 7th. Billy Butler leads it off for Oakland. It's a 5-3 Angels lead. Salas is still in there, so he's getting another inning of work in, and the first pitch of ball to count 1-0. G-Man Choi has come in. He's over at first base. Cliff Pennington is now the second baseman. Jeffrey Marte is the third baseman. Gregorio Petit is the Angels shortstop. There's a pitch that misses ball 2-0. And in the outfield, a whole new look with Todd Cunningham in left field, Rafael Ortega in center field, and Quentin Berry in right field. Here's the next pitch. That's in there for a called strike.
Salas looked really sharp that first inning, only threw 15 pitches, and here he goes back to work. One of those dependable arms Mike Scioscia has and needs, along with Alvarez, Corey Rasmus, that can go more than 3 outs for him.
Here's one that's inside. It misses. It's 3-1 on Butler. Giovanni Soto is still catching, so it's the same battery for the Angels, but all the other positions have changed here.
This is more about continuing to build that relationship between Soto, new to the Angels, and Salas.
And on the 3-1, Butler will take, and that is a leadoff walk. And on cue, Mike Scioscia is out of the dugout, so that's going to be it for Salas. Angels will go to the bullpen. We have a break in the action, a pitching change here, bottom of the 7th. 5-3 Angels. We'll be back with more Angels baseball in a moment on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Left-hander Greg Mahle will be pitcher number 3 of the day for the Angels. So he takes over for Salas. He worked 1 inning. He did not allow any hits right now. No runs, although a runner at first is property. 1 walk, no strikeouts for Salas. Sogard has come in to pinch run for Billy Butler. Got the leadoff walk to start this inning off, which also caused the exit for Fernando Salas. So Alonso will be the first batter that Mahle faces.
You talk about timely with Mike Scioscia. This is pretty timely, too, on getting Mahle more exposure against experienced big league hitters. Because Mahle has been very impressive here in camp.
This is his 9th appearance, and he's worked 9 innings, allowing 10 hits, 2 runs, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts. Lefty-lefty matchup. The pitch right in there, called strike.
That's a pretty firm fastball. He throws across his body, and he throws across his body, and then all of a sudden he'll drop down on you to make it more uncomfortable. He's got a great teacher in that bullpen, and the Angels' new bullpen coach, and Scott Radinsky, who dropped down with the best as a lefty.
Here's the next pitch, and that was a sidearm delivery. It's fouled back behind the plate. Molly, fastball, good slider curve. He has an excellent changeup. And as Jose alluded to, he likes to use a lot of different arm angles. Has a reputation of being tough against left-handed hitters. He's facing one here.
And he is a gaucho.
That's right. UC Santa Barbara. There's a toss over to first. He has a brother by the name of Tyler who has been a pitcher in the Reds organization. Lefty-lefty matchup. Marte, the third baseman, way off the line as the Angels have a bit of a shift on here, and there's a pitch that missed for a ball.
Molly has kept it in the ballpark throughout his professional career. He's allowed 3 home runs in 95 innings. Also, he's averaged 11 strikeouts per 9 and only 2 walks.
Here's the next pitch, and that one is low and away. So it's 2 balls, 2 strikes.
So he's got the command. He's got the velocity. He goes out there and attacks hitters. Enough of a live arm to, as Terry alluded to, that changeup becomes a key element. And setting up hitters, especially right-handed batters.
Get a toss over to first, and Sogard, the pinch runner, gets back safely. Molly last season pitched at Inland Empire and Double-A Arkansas. The next delivery, that's a pitch that's inside, so he was way in front here. But he's now run the count full, 3-2 on Alonso. So we'll see what gives on the payoff pitch. Molly set. And he'll toss over to first base, and back to the bag goes the base runner.
Molly in college, occasional a starter. But most of his work throughout his career has come as a reliever. He made 8 starts in college at Santa Barbara out of 85 appearances.
Runner goes, the pitch, it's chopped to third. Only one chance for an out. High throw by Marte, but Choi jumps up and lands down on the bag for the out. So Sogard moves up to second. Out recorded against Alonso, and Simeon will be the next batter.
Nice job by Molly getting the ground ball. Jam shot. Fastball got in on Alonso. Mission accomplished. Ball got away from Marte just a little bit on his release point. And he had enough on that throw to allow Choi to land on time.
Simeon batting, a pair of flyouts. Those were against Jared Weaver, and the first pitch, that one taken for ball 1. Should be getting the official attendance shortly here at Tom Park in Mesa.
Very nice
crowd today.
Yeah.
A lot of Angel fans here today. Angels dug out on the third base side.
Seems like you draw a line behind the plate and split a ton of red over on the Angel side, and then to the green and gold supporting their A's. And the berms beyond the outfield are pretty crowded. Spring break is here.
2 balls and no strikes. Angels at one time led this game 5-1. It's 5-3. Pickoff toss to second. Close play. Sogard just got back. It was a quick pickoff move there by Molly. Sneaking over was Pennington, who's now at second base.
One of those times when you as a staff are also taking notes on Molly and the ability he has to stay aware and try to help himself on the mound. Nice move.
Here's the next delivery, and that's a little bit outside.
Terry, he's a gaucho, man. Come on. He's got to be able to do stuff like that, right?
Well, you know, I'm kind of partial to Santa Barbara. Spent a lot of time there. Love the Central Coast.
You're on the money.
Here's the 3-0. That's right in there for a called strike.
Simeon with the bat. Surprised a lot of people. He did. club. 15 home runs last year for the A's playing shortstop.
And the 3-1. It's fouled back behind the plate, so another full count against an A's batter here in this inning. Today's game being brought to you by In-N-Out Burger. That's what a hamburger's all about.
Semien held his own, hitting .257, played 155 games. 23 doubles, 7 triples added to the 15 home runs.
Molly makes another pickoff toss there to second base, with Pennington sneaking in.
And besides, wanting to cut down on those 35 errors that Semien committed last year, also to cut down on the 132 strikeouts he had.
And mentioning strikeouts, there's a swing and a miss by him, and he is down on strikes. Molly has done a good job. Retired Alonso on the ground ball to Marte. He's gotten Semien on the strikeout, and now Maxwell, who's had a pretty darn good day for Oakland, a home run, and he's thrown out 3 base runners trying to steal, will be the next batter. You don't see 3 caught stealings from a catcher in the same game very often.
Absolutely right. You don't see that very often. Mike Scioscia pushing the issue, and Maxwell saying, go ahead.
In a toss, pickoff toss to second. And Sogard had to hustle back, diving back safely.
As you and I were talking here off air about Maxwell, his release, how quiet he is, stays under control, composed, keeps his body under control and stays tall, fires away, quick release, and that's why he's been able to catch 3 guys here today.
Here's the pitch, and the left-handed batter takes that one for a strike.
All 3 on consecutive innings, including 2 of them obviously in the same inning. The Angels have stolen 2 bases against them today.
Here's the pitch. That's fouled off. One of those stolen bases, though, he really didn't factor in. That was on the pickoff.
Good point.
Yeah.
Yep, you're right. It was on the first move stolen base by Anderson Simmons against starter Sean Manaea.
So the count's 0-2 on Maxwell. And the next delivery, he chops this one on a high hop to second. Pennington will throw him out, and the inning is over. Very good job by the left-handed reliever, Greg Molly. Retires all 3 faces. We are headed to the 8th. The Angels have a 2-run lead. It's 5-3 on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Number of changes for the Oakland A's as we get ready to move to the 8th inning. They have a new pitcher. Aaron Kirks will take over, and they've made a whole lot of other moves around the infield and outfield as well. New second baseman is Melvin Mercedes. So Kirks is ready, and here's his first pitch. That one on Cliff Pennington. He takes ball one. It's 1 ball, no strikes. Here's the pitch. Pennington takes that one for a called strike. Now's the part of the ball game, Jose, where you become a traffic cop, because there's a lot of moving parts going on right now.
Thankfully, it is now the latter part of spring training, so the moves didn't start in the 3rd inning, right?
That's right. There's a cut and a miss, and the count 1 ball, 2 strikes. Pennington is hitting for the Angels here out of Simmons' spot. And Andrelton went 1 for 3, scoring a run at a stolen base. Here's the next delivery. This is chopped right to short. Fielded cleanly. Throw to first will nip Pennington, and that'll be the first out. So he's retired on a 6-3 ground out. That new shortstop who made that play is Franklin Barreto. And they also have a new third baseman, Matt Chapman, who's had a very good spring for the Oakland A's. They have a new right fielder, as Reddick has left the ball game, and the pitch here on Soto, he takes that one for ball 1. It's 1 ball, no strikes. The new right fielder is Jake Smolinski. The attendance today, 10,112, and it is a sellout. So we thought we had a big crowd here, and sure enough, it's a sellout crowd. 10112 today.
Very nice, and very energized, this whole crowd here.
Here's one fouled off on the right side. It's backing out of play.
And a crowd that came to see the big stars on both ball clubs, but they saw right away with 2 outs in the 1st inning, Mike Trout hit a long home run to center field. Did not disappoint once again. The kid from Millville.
And here's the next pitch. That one misses high. 2-2. We'll check out in left field and in center field. I believe Canna and Crisp have left the ball game as well for Oakland, so they have some new outfielders along with Smolinski, who's in there now in right field. There's a pitch up and in, and that one goes all the way back to the backstop. So Soto has the count run full on him. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Britt Vertigan is the new center fielder. And here comes the payoff pitch. Soto lifts one high, and he hits it well into left field. That ball's going to take a bounce on the warning track and hit off the wall. And at second base with a 1-out double is Giovanni Soto. They haven't gotten him out all day. 4 times up. A couple of hits, so Milwaukee's been hit by a pitch.
Veteran hitter stays right in there, especially after seeing a fastball sail right over his head. And gets his breaking ball, puts his head down. Perhaps he thought he had hit it harder or farther than that ball went, but certainly a good at bat all the way around there for Giovanni Soto. He's been driving the ball pretty much all spring. A couple of hits today. On base 4 times now. Single, a walk, hit by pitch. Now a double.
So here's G-Man Choi. Pitch is fouled off on the left side. Backing out of play.
G-Man Choi comes into the game a little bit later. He's going to see a good arm out there on the mound. And he's done a good job when he stays square to the ball. He's hit a couple long balls to left center field.
Here's a pitch that Choi cuts at and misses. So the count, no balls, 2 strikes.
That's something else that Choi has done a whole lot of. He has struck out 13 times, and that leads the Angels.
So Kirks is ready, and here comes the next pitch. Way high with that one. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Next pitch on Choi. Stays alive, fouling that one back on the left side of home plate. Out of play. Nice grab by a fan.
Nice catch. Brave catch. Kurtz, K-U-R-C-Z, is out of Las Vegas. 25 years old. He actually attended the United States Air Force Academy and also a College of Southern Nevada.
How about that?
Originally drafted by the team that used to play here, the Cubs, back in 2010, 10th rounder.
Next delivery, and Choi rips one over the glove of the first baseman, and that ball's down in the right field corner. Angels are going to get a run. Choi will think about going for third. Now the ball gets away from the relay man, and he will easily move to third base.
Go G-Man.
That's going to be another error. He'll get an RBI double, ends up at third base. And the Angels lead gets a little bit bigger. It's now 6-3.
Nice job, G-Man. Choi staying on that breaking ball, down and in. Just drops that barrel. Nice to see that ball really absolutely take off. And this hard ground here, tough hop at first base. And G-Man did a good job staying with the baseball, reading Ron Renicky, and also listening intently on what his third base coach is yelling once that ball gets away.
So here is Ortega with the runner at third, 1 out, infield in. Pitch a little bit low.
Ortega all spring long has come through big time for the Angels on these situations here. He's a solid spring, 9 RBIs, hitting over 300.
And he takes that one for a ball. 2-0 the count. Angels have 6 runs on 11 hits. The A's have 3 runs on 5 hits.
That's 4 errors for the A's today, and that is a total now of 38 in the spring.
Here's the next pitch, and that one misses outside.
And this is game number 24 for Oakland.
So Kirk's having some trouble. And there's a pitch in there for a strike when the Angels squared off against the A's the other day. And that was a ball game on Tuesday in Tempe. That was the first time that Kirk's had pitched all spring for Oakland. And here he is facing the Angels again. And there is ball 4. So Ortega has a walk. Angels have him at the corners with 1 out. And they're going to visit with this pitcher as Kurt Young, their pitching coach, goes out to the mound. Fan Spring Training Baseball is live with the MLB.com at-bat app. Stay connected all spring with radio broadcasts, video highlights, stats, news, and more. Download MLB.com at-bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your smartphone and tablet.
Terry, Kurt Young, one of the best in the business. And boy, what a job he does year after year, not only in the philosophy and the plan for the young pitchers of the Oakland A's, the mix with the veteran pitchers they acquire or develop, but also a philosophy that filters all the way down to the minor leagues and the influence of the scouting the sabermetrics, and Kurt Young, man, he does not get the credit he deserves for what he's done here in Oakland.
He is, for the most part, over the years, very solid pitching-wise. Maybe a little bit of a bump in the road last year, especially with their bullpen.
This is Kurt Young in his 5th season, in his 2nd stint as the A's pitching coach. He joined the Red Sox for 1 year back in 2011. And Kurt Young has been in the Oakland system for 32 years, including 12 as a player.
So Kirk's taking some time. He just tossed over there to first base. Ortega got back. Ortega's been running a lot this spring for the Angels, and he was bluffing there. They pitch out, and he put the brakes on. So it's 1 ball, no strikes. Todd Cunningham is the Angel batter. He's hitting out of Escobar's spot. Escobar had another good day at the plate. 2 for 4. Scored a run. Here's the pitch. Cunningham, the left-handed batter, takes that one for a ball. Jeffrey Marte waiting on deck for the Angels. He's hitting out of Cole Calhoun's spot. Cole was 0 for 4 today. Mike Trout hit another home run for the Angels. Back-to-back ball games. Pitches high and outside. 3-0.
Back-to-back ball games. Back-to-back against lefties. Today was Minaya, and yesterday was Chris Sale. Both no doubters.
So it's a 3-0 count on Cunningham. Will he have a green light with 1 out, 2 on? We'll see as Kirks delivers, and he did. He lifts it in the air, but foul down the left side. That's going to push back to the seats and out of play.
There's Mike Socha giving him the green light, giving him confidence. Also with the influence of Dino Ebel, his bench coach. And some of these guys that perhaps they want to see swing in the bat. There's been a lot of plays put on with Mike Socha and the group that comes in usually to replace the starters. Game after game, they see a lot of action.
So 3 balls, 1 strike the count. Right-hander takes time. Aaron Kirks, he's ready now. There goes the runner at first. Pitches line down the right field side, and it is a foul ball. Cunningham got good wood on it. Hit it hard, but foul. Ortega was on the move at first base. He'll return back to that spot after the foul ball.
So here's a find for you. As we like nuggets. Aaron Kirks has not hit a batter in 261 professional innings. No hit batsman.
So he doesn't like to work inside a whole lot, I guess. The pitch, there's one that's chopped through the left side. That's going to be an RBI base hit. Cunningham comes through. Coming in and scoring for the Angels is Choi. Lead gets bigger as the Angels add on. It's 7-3 with runners at the corners.
Oh, this is pretty much time after time when the youngsters come in, guys fighting for jobs, and you see the hunger and the eagerness to go out there and get the job done. And really what is most admirable is the fact that they play their game and they really slow the game down to make sure if there's any confusion with signs, they're on it, and they increase a very important lead here for the Angels.
So we are going to have a pitching change. Kirks ends up getting only 1 batter out, and they will go to the bullpen to break in the action. When we get back, the Angels still batting here in the 8th and leading Oakland 7-3 on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Ryan Doolittle is the new pitcher, and he takes over for Aaron Kirks. Angels have scored twice here in the 8th, lead at 7-3. And Jeffrey Marte batting for the first time in this ball game. Right-hander against right-hander, and the first pitch that's high. It's 1 ball, no strikes. Gregorio Petit waiting on deck. He is at the bat today. Be hitting out a Trout spot. Trout was 2 for 4 with a homer, 2 RBIs, stolen base. And here's the next pitch. That's lifted in the air down the right field side in foul territory. A lot of people chasing, but it's going to drop out of the reach of Mercedes and Smolinski and Alonso on that right side in foul ground.
As you mentioned, Trout, well, his numbers now in spring training, he's got 3 home runs, 12 RBIs. And today he went 2 for 4, came in hitting .385. And he has looked as solid as always in center field.
So 1 ball, 1 strike. This is Doolittle's 4th appearance this spring. And in 2 2/3 innings, he's given up 7 hits and 5 earned runs. So he's had some trouble. Very high ERA of over 16.
And he is the younger brother of ace reliever Sean Doolittle.
And there's a toss over to first, and diving back to the bag goes the base runner over there. That's Cunningham, who has good speed.
Can't say how important, Terry, Sean Doolittle is to the A's this season, as he was limited to only 12 games last year, 13 2/3 innings, but he had been an all-star closer for them. It's like 22 games for Oakland back in 2014.
There's the next pitch. That one is fouled back, up above, out of play.
Sean Doolittle to make a quick transition from first base as a position player to the bullpen, and just like that, he was in the big leagues.
Yep. Former first-round pick who switched from being a first baseman, sometime outfielder, to pitching, and that all happened for Sean Doolittle in 2011. Here's the pitch. That's lifted in the air down the left field side, and that ball is trouble, and that ball hits high off the wall. 1 run will score, another being waved home. The Angels will get 2 more in, courtesy of Marte with that double, and now it's 9-3.
Oh, Jeffrey Marte has impressed the Angels with his bat, and Mike Socha talked about his versatility playing first and third. There's no doubt he's got some power from week 1. Mike Socha and his hitting coach Dave Hansen impressed with his power to right center field, and of course with the influence of Trout, Pujols, Simmons himself, have all been instrumental in talking to Marte about staying in his game a little bit more, staying focused through the middle and reacting as he just did on that pitch.
So the Angels up by 6 here in the 8th inning. And trying to get some more. Here's the pitch. That's a little bit low. $13 hits along with the 9 runs for the Angels. Petit, the batter. Big lead at second for Marte, and the next delivery, it's in there for a called strike. 1-1 to count. All 4 of the runs the Angels have scored in this inning go against Kirks, and he gave them up in just 1/3 of an inning of work.
That's already 6 doubles for Jeffrey Marte, and now with 8 RBIs.
Infield is backed up. Everyone is ready, and the pitch. That one is inside. With this game getting a little bit more lopsided in favor of the Angels, kind of surprised a lot of fans have still stayed around here. They want to see the final out in this ball game. Can't blame them, I guess.
Yeah, the temperatures pretty nice.
Pleasant
Pretty
today.
pleasant, yeah.
There's a fly ball lifted down the right side. That's a fair ball. It drops in, and running it down in the corner is Smolinski. That's going to be another double for the Angels, as coming in and scoring from second will be Marte. Petit has driven in the 10th Angel run today. It's 10-3.
That is now for the Angels a total of 4 doubles this inning alone. And they've done a good job all throughout the game. Driving the ball, winning in hitters counts, some solid contact. They have put the ball in play. The Youngsters have only struck out once here today. That was C.J. Cron back in the 3rd inning.
Well, Jose, we mentioned at the very beginning today that the A's had given up 12 runs in each of their last 2 games. They've given up 10 more today. So that's 34 runs they've allowed the last 3 games.
And the Angels' 14 hits came into today hitting .307, leading teams in the American League in exhibition play with a .370 on base percentage. And Terry, you mentioned the A's. You're right. Came into this game with a 6.29 collective ERA. And the opponents hitting over .280 against Oakland pitching.
Here's the pitch. That's lined into right field. Smolinski's not going to get to it. It drops in front of him. And the Angels will have runners at the corners. Well, Petit wasn't sure whether that ball would be caught. He was the runner at second, so he advances 1 base. Giovatelli gets his 2nd hit since coming into the ball game. The 9th batter of the inning is stepping up with only 1 out, and this is Quentin Berry. This will be his first at bat today.
Strange for Johnny Giovatelli, came into this game only because Albert Pujols had to come out after his 2nd at bat when he got hit by a slider in his right foot. Pujols came out of the game and is right now a right foot contusion. For Johnny G, who came in hitting .304, he's had a nice afternoon, 2 for 3 here today.
So Doolittle has yet to retire. Batter 3 straight hits against him, and he misses high with that one for ball 1.
Terry, and as it is familiar nowadays, our crew from Florida checking in. Some guys watching games out there in those gyms, working out after their ball games back in the Grapefruit League. So the Florida boys, a quick hello.
Here's the next pitch. That one is outside. Well,
maybe even a Mrs. Smith watching down in Florida.
Maybe. The game's on MLB Network, I believe. So along with Fox Sports West and, of course, the Angels Baseball Radio Network. So we're getting nationwide coverage today, Jose. Two and 0 is the count. And here's the next pitch. That is right in there for a called strike.
So you mentioned the MLB Network. Great time working with Matt Yaloff at the World Baseball Classic qualifier in Panama City. And one of the things that I caught myself looking at there was like in the 5th inning looking for changes. Like, wait a minute, where is it? There's no changes.
That's right. Those games are very serious. You were covering, Jose, from a national standpoint for those countries trying to get into next year's WBC.
Great job, Colombia, and their manager, Luis Urueta, and their super prospect, Dilson Herrera. Terry, remember that name.
All right.
Mets prospect. Amongst a few of good young talent we saw down in Panama.
Here's the next delivery. This is hit sharply, but right to second. Flip to second. 1. Relay to first. Will double up Berry. Boy, he hit that ball hard, but right at Mercedes, the second baseman. Angels end up settling for 5 runs in the inning. We are headed to the bottom of the 8th, and it's 10-3 Angels on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Angels will go to the bullpen as we start the bottom of the 8th inning. Corey Rasmus takes over for Greg Mahle. Mahle retired all 3 batters he faced with a strikeout. So Rasmus, the new pitcher. And the first batter he will be facing will be Franklin Barreto. He's now playing shortstop for the A's. He's hitting out of their leadoff spot that Coco Crisp occupied. And the first pitch on Barreto, that's in there for a called strike.
Corey Rasmus, all out, full effort, every single pitch, and he gets after people. At this time last year is when we were getting the news that he was going to have the sports hernia surgery, which pretty much affected him for the rest of the season.
Sure did.
But he is big for the Angels.
Very versatile reliever. He's had a good spring. 8th appearance for him, 9 innings. He's allowed 7 hits, 2 runs, 11 strikeouts in those 9 innings. ERA right at 2.00. And there's a pitch that absolutely freezes Barreto. Got him off speed, struck him out looking.
He went with a big 12-6 curveball that catches the inside. You don't see this pitch by design very often. He just ran back. Might have overthrown it, but nice finish. And a nice framing job behind the plate by Soto again.
Matt Canna, who's gone all the way for the A's in left field, gets ready for his 4th at bat today. He's 0 for 3. And the first pitch, that's in there, so Rasmus is dealing strikes. Bottom of the 8th inning being brought to you this afternoon by our friends at Rotolo Chevrolet in Fontana. Rotolo Chevrolet is pursuing excellence every day. You can visit them at rotolo.com. That's rotolo.com. Here's the pitch. Fouled off on the right side. Out of play. Tomorrow, the Angels will be back in Tempe. And tomorrow is a TV-only broadcast. We'll be on Fox Sports West. No live radio broadcast tomorrow. That'll be Andrew Heaney against big game James Shields tomorrow.
Big game tomorrow.
James Shields.
Big game for Heaney.
Yeah. There's a breaking pitch, and that freezes Canna, and he knew it.
Wow.
Rasmus has come out dealing here. Back-to-back batters out looking.
Boy, this one he took just slightly a bit off of it. Had better bite and really buckle Canna. Look at Canna just go out there and commit and just not able to pull the trigger as those hands are moving forward.
So 2 are gone, and here's Matt Chapman. Chapman, remember him from a couple days ago when the Angels hosted the A's in Tempe, and he's having a nice spring. 4 home runs.
That's another Titan. So there's some Titans out on the field, not only in uniform, but also the man in blue and Rob Drake, umpire. Now, Matt Chapman. Plus power, this kid. And what an arm.
One of the A's better position prospects, and he takes that one for strike 1-1. Bottom of the 8th, 10-3 Angels. Rasmus with the 1-1. That one misses for a ball.
Chapman, teammate of Nolan Arenado in high school. He had to move over to shortstop because Nolan Arenado was playing third base. And now we know why Chapman had to move. Arenado is sensational.
Here's the next pitch. And Chapman looks that one over. It misses for a ball. So the count goes to 3 balls and 1 strike. Rasmus ready to come in with the 3-1, and he just missed a little bit low. So he walks Chapman. 2-out walk. It's only the second walk issued by Angels pitching today.
Center fielder, Brett Vertigan.
Corey Rasmus, brother Colby, extremely excited to be back with the Houston Astros after a nice run last year. And Colby Rasmus wasted Terry no time in accepting that qualifying offer.
So the batter now is Brett Vertigan, and he is batting for the first time today. Left-handed batter. He takes that one for ball one.
And as you and I were alluding to also here off air, Colby Rasmus very outspoken on how he likes how things are run in the loose clubhouse, he calls, with the Houston Astros. He's got the long hair flowing. Guys are cranking up that music in that clubhouse. We called a fun clubhouse by A.J. Hinch, our manager, who recently received an extension also, well deserved.
Yeah, Astros, good young club, no doubt about it.
Extremely deep with their pitching right now too.
Wild card team last year. Here's the pitch, and that is a strike on the outside corner. Vertigan has had only one at bat this spring with one hit. Corey Rasmus delivers, and that one is outside. So he's having a little trouble here getting the final out in the inning. 2 balls and 1 strike, 2 outs, runner on.
The value of somebody like a Corey Rasmus, he made 6 starts for the Angels back in 2014. The Angels went to the playoffs, and towards the end of the season when Mike Scioscia was a little thin on the pitching, he had no doubt whatsoever that there are some days, Terry, designated as bullpen days, led by one Corey Rasmus.
Just got that last pitch in there for a called strike, so that levels the count at 2. Rasmus trying to strike out the side here in the inning. He delivers, and a breaking ball is way low and inside, so full count. Chapman, who's on at first, walks, so Rasmus will have to throw a strike here, 3-2 on Vertigan.
In that season 2 years ago when Rasmus made those 6 starts for the Angels, it was a team that won 98 games.
Everyone set, runner goes, breaking pitch, freezes him, struck him out looking, and Rasmus strikes out the side. 9th inning is coming up here in Mesa. Angels have a big lead, up 10-3 on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Cliff Pennington will lead it off for the Angels as we go to inning number 9. And the first pitch, that one taken for a ball to count. 1 ball, no strikes. Edward Santos is the new pitcher. He is a big right-hander, and that one misses ball 2. It's 2 balls and no strikes. A couple of other changes here for the Oakland A's as well. Looks like they have a new catcher. Jose Chavez is behind the plate. And they have a new first baseman. That's Matt McBride. And a new left fielder, J.P. Sportman. 2 balls, 1 strike, the count. So Bob Melvin, the Oakland manager, has pretty much gotten in all his reserves now. Here's the next pitch. That ball's ripped into right field. That's a fair ball. It's going to roll all the way down in the corner. Pennington is headed for second. He's not going to stop there. He's headed for third, and he will slide in with a leadoff triple. Well, the Angels have really swung the bats well here today.
Yes, they have. That's hit number 16 for the Angels. Another extra base hit. Have 4 doubles in the previous inning, and here they go once again, driving the baseball, running the base as well, taking the extra base. Good to see veterans like Cliff Pennington set the tone here this latter part of the game. Came into this game hitting .415.
So the batter now is Jet Bandy, and he is going to be pinch hitting for Giovanni Soto. Probably stay in the game, catch the bottom of the 9th. Soto had a good ball game today. He was on base safely all 4 times, scored 2 runs, was officially 2 for 2, single double. He also walked and was hit by a pitch. Well, the scoreboard out in left center field has just gone black.
Too many hits.
That's right. Too much stuff to keep track of today. Here's the pitch, and that is cut on and missed. So we'll have to rely on the home plate umpire, Tom Woodring, as far as the balls and strikes right now. This is old school right now.
Yes, well, you thought you didn't have to pay attention. that goes to me, by the way. Not to you. You're always on the ball, Terry.
Well, they're throwing a few kinks at us here, Jose. And here's the next pitch on Bandy. That one is taken for a ball. 2-1 is the count. Edward Santos ready to deliver. And here's his next pitch. That's grounded sharply on the third base side. Nice diving stop by Chapman. His throw to first is in time. Angels get another run on it, but that was a nice play by Chapman. That ball could have easily been extra bases down that left field side. Angels now up 11-3 with 1 out here in the 9th.
Matt Chapman doesn't save the run, but does save the base runner. Another extra base hit possible there for the Angels, going to his right and then unloading in 1 hopper, and a great job at first base on the pickup. Good to see all this young talent on display here from both sides.
So here's Choi. And the first pitch to him, he lifts it in the air down the left field side. That one's going to push back and out of play. Let's pause for stations to identify themselves on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Terry Smith, Jose Mota, our producer engineer is Darren Chan. Great to have you with us here on this Friday. And there's a cut and a miss. The count 0-2 on Choi.
That's a pretty good changeup. His big body and nice follow through there on the mound, as you're expecting some power stuff to get on you quickly. Choi was way ahead.
Here's the 2-strike pitch. That's low. Good block by the new catcher, Jose Chavez.
Edward Santos, originally signed by the Angels, and he spent 4 seasons in the Dominican Summer League. And if you count another season in 2012 in the Arizona Rookie League, that's 5 years of rookie ball Santos spent with the Angels organization.
There's a pitch that Choi takes, and it's a called third strike. So that is out number 2. Santos appearing in his 6th game this spring for Oakland. He has a win, but some of the other numbers aren't all that good. 4 innings. He's allowed 6 runs, 4 earned.
Gotta like his arm. The A's did 78 strikeouts last year and 58 in the 3rd innings. Only allowed 33 hits. Pitch in Double-A Arkansas with the Angels organization. 4-2, 2.31 ERA.
Here's the pitch. This one is hit on the first base side. It's fielded by the new first baseman McBride. He'll solo to the bag to get Ortega, and that's how the inning will end for the Angels here in the 9th. We're headed to the bottom of the 9th. Angels are up 11-3 on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports Web. Bottom of the 9th, we are headed here at Ho-Ho-Com Park in Mesa. Angels will make another pitching change. 5th pitcher of the day, Yunieski Maya will take over. Jet Bandy stays in the ball game. He's his battery mate behind the plate. And it looks like Jake Smolinski will be the first batter up for Oakland. He'll be batting for the first time. He's hitting out of Jed Lowry's spot. So Maya ready to go. And here's the first pitch from the Cuban-born right-hander. That one is in there for a called strike. Maya is appearing in his 6th game. He's made a start for the Angels. He has a win, he has a save, and he's allowed 8 hits in 9 innings, just 1 earned run, 8 strikeouts. Here's a ball grounded on the right side, gobbled up by Pennington, and he will throw out Smolinski. So 1 quick out. 4-3 on the ground out. Corey Rasmus, who pitched last inning in the bottom of the 8th, retired 3 of 4 with 3 strikeouts and 1 walk. Sogard will be the next batter. Jose is on his way downstairs. He will visit with Angels manager Mike Scioscia right after the ball game. Maya ready, and the pitch. Here's another one grounded on the right side, but just out of the reach of Pennington. He was ranging to his right towards second, and that one just out of his reach. So Sogard batting for the first time as a hit.
Next up, third baseman, Matt McBride.
New first baseman Matt McBride will be the next batter. It's hitting out of Alonso's number 7 spot. He replaced him at first base as well. Alonso went 0 for 3. Infield spread out, backed up, and the pitch on McBride. Right-handed batter takes that one for a called strike. Waiting on deck is Melvin Mercedes. He has yet to bat today. There's a pitch that McBride takes, and the count even. It's 1 ball, 1 strike. Maya's next pitch didn't miss by much. A little bit outside, 2-1. Fans, every moment matters. Join us all season long for select Saturday night postgame fireworks presented by Wells Fargo. You can purchase your Saturday night game tickets today. Just go to angels.com or call 714-4-ANGELS. Operators are standing by. Here's another check swing, and that is a strike on the outside corner. 2-2 the count. Angels have an 11-3 lead here in Mesa with 1 out, bottom of the 9th. Here's the pitch, and that is on the outside corner. Got him looking, struck him out. 2 gone here in the 9th. Mercedes the batter.
Second baseman, Melvin Mercedes.
Here's the first pitch. Mercedes batting from the left side, and he takes that one for ball 1. It's 1 ball, no strikes. Mercedes, little guy, 5'6", 170-pounder, and he's going to flare one into left field for a base hit. So he keeps the ball game alive. They have him at first and second now with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 9th inning. Jose Chavez, the new catcher for Oakland, will get ready for his first at bat today.
Next up, the catcher, Jose Chavez.
So trying to get the final out here is Maya. He's gotten 2 batters out. He's also given up a couple of hits. Here's the pitch. That's right in there for a called strike. Angels with a big offensive day today here against the A's. This is the 4th time this spring the Angels have hit double digits in runs. Here's the next pitch, and that's fouled back to the screen. So the A's are down to their final strike in this ball game. Sellout crowd here today in Mesa, over 10,000. Shadows starting to creep in behind home plate. Batter can see his shadow in front of him as he digs in, and the pitch, that's a little bit outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. After today's ball game, the Angels will have only 4 more games left here in Arizona. 2 of them will be against the Padres. One of those games is tomorrow against San Diego, and the Angels will play them Sunday as well. Here's the next pitch. Breaking ball bounces in. Bandy, good stop on that one. Runners have to hold. 2-2. Angels have 2 more left against the Padres, as I mentioned. A game left against the Cubs. That'll be next Monday. And then the final Arizona game will be against the Cleveland Indians on Tuesday. That game will start a little bit after 12 noon, the final Arizona exhibition game for the Angels. Here's the 2-2. That's outside, and it's now 3-2. Barreto would be up next. So we'll see what gives on the next pitch with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th. It's a 3-2 count, and here it comes. He walked them. Sometimes that final out can be the hardest one to get. And that's even with the Angels up by 8 here in the bottom of the 9th. They're loaded now with 2 away. So here is Barreto, and since he came into the ball game, he was called out on strikes his only time up. Right-hander against right-hander. Here's the pitch, and he tries to hold up on that one. They say he did. 1 ball, no strikes on Barreto. He's had 24 at-bats this spring for the A's with 5 hits, and 3 of them have been home runs. Maya's next delivery went right after him with pitch up and in. He swings and misses it. Count even. It's 1 ball, 1 strike. Angels trying to win their 3rd in a row here in the Cactus League. Victory would increase the spring training record to 13-8-4. Here's the 1-1. That's a strike on the inside corner. So Barreto has taken the last 2, and they've both been in there. And once again, the A's are down to their final strike here with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th. We've seen Weaver, Salas, Molly, Rasmus, and now Maya pitching here in the bottom of the 9th. The 1-2 delivery. Chopped on the right side. This should do it. It's fielded by Choi. He'll solo to the bag, and the ball game is over. So they loaded them up, but they failed to score. Angels come away with the victory here today as they beat the Oakland A's by the final score.